Hey guys, I think we're back here. Sorry. Had a little technical difficulty there in the beginning. But hey everybody, welcome to another talk show segment. This is your boy Napa, and we're here on this beautiful April evening coming to you here in Napa. Sun is shining, birds are chirping, it's really nice weather out there. And here we are. So, how are you guys doing tonight? We're not doing too bad over here. We've actually been pretty well insulated from everything going on. We've still have the lowest number of cases here in our county, and only one person in the hospital, actually, in our area. So I'd say we're faring really well. And the wife and I are looking into the antibody tests because we have been investigating what we were sick with back in February, and it's looking more and more like we had the virus. So we'll find out real soon what that was all about. So tonight I have a special guest. I'm going to have Bad Drivers of the Bay Area joining me in a little bit here in just a few minutes. He is waiting in the wings. We're going to be talking about whatever, how things are going, what we're noticing out there. The California Highway Patrol has been issuing a plethora of speeding tickets. Yeah. So with the open roads, people think that they can just, drive 100 plus miles an hour. So we're getting a lot of reports of that going on. And official statements from the California Highway Patrol talking about how they are issuing an unprecedented number of tickets. I've also noticed a lot of red light running in people's videos, like blatant red light running, not just you're running a slightly stale red, but or stale green that then turns red and somebody runs it like a half second after. I mean, that's bad enough, but we're talking about some pretty blatant stuff going on. I'm just amazed at what I'm seeing in people's dashcam videos. Now, me personally, I haven't been driving as much, but I have still been out, and it looks like well, I personally haven't noticed any of the things that are being reported. If anything, I've been coming across slower drivers than usual for whatever reason. So it's kind of an interesting situation going on here. So tomorrow we have a new video coming out. This is going to be video 314. I think that's where we're at, right? 314? Yeah, 314. We'll be releasing that video tomorrow morning. We always try to release our Friday morning videos at 4 a.m. our time, Pacific time. So those of you on the East Coast just waking up and having your first cup of coffee, tuning in, watching some bad drivers do their bad driver things. So we'll have that. Our folder for video 315 doesn't have a lot of clips in it yet, so I'm not sure when 315 is coming out. I'm sure it'll be out someday, but again, not driving as much, less traffic out on the roads, we're not capturing as much. And I honestly can't complain because it's nice getting a break from bad drivers. It really is. We've also noticed a pretty large slump in the number of people sending us clips. Boy, we were rip-roaring there for a while. Had, everybody and their cousin sending us videos, and all of a sudden it's just dropped off. So these stay-at-home orders that are happening nationwide, we're seeing the effects of that. So submissions have dropped off for now. I'm sure we'll get back to it soon, but that's fine. We'll find other ways to engage with you guys as we move forward here. Our governor is talking about opening the state back up. We're under a pretty, a broad statewide stay-at-home order. I know other states are starting to open their economies. We'll see how that goes. But our governor is being pretty cautious. I'm talking Governor Gavin Newsom. And we're talking about being weeks, not months away from reopening. So that's what our governor is talking about right now. There are a lot of counties pleading for the governor to reopen sooner than that. We're in uncharted territory here, folks. We don't know. We're dealing with a new virus. Well, we're dealing with an old family of viruses, but this particular strain is new, hence why they're calling it a novel strain. So we'll see how the reopening of California goes. Yeah, okay, so new video tomorrow. We're going to release a little something next week. We're not going to have 315 out as soon as next week. That's just don't have enough footage right now. So in the meantime, we have some kind of exciting footage to give you. It's not driving related. Well, I mean, a little bit of it is automotive related, but it's largely not driving related. My wife and I and a friend, we went out on the town one evening. We did a little bar hopping, which we like to do. This is way before these stay-at-home orders happened. In fact, this was like back in October, I think. October, November, December, I don't know, something like that. We did some bar hopping in the Oakland area, and we experienced a fair bit of drama actually on our trip and recorded some of that on my cell phone and a little bit on DashCam, and we thought that we'd give you a little something next week. I don't know if it'll be Monday or Friday or Tuesday or when we'll release it next week, but it'd be kind of a fun video. So something a little different, and we're going to be doing different kind of videos when we are lacking regular footage. No, it's not a bar fight. Sorry to disappoint you. No, not a bar fight, but I have witnessed 2 bar fights. My wife and I have, we've been going out to bars, for many, many years, here and there, take a night out on the town, enjoy ourselves, and did witness a pretty good bar fight once. And then another one ended up being a dud. And of the hundreds of times we've been out to the bars, we never really witnessed any bar fights. But they do make the paper. Stabbings, shootings, related to drunken brawls. Seen a lot of that, but I guess we've just never been in the right place at the right time. So yeah, and we'll be doing videos like busting common myths and surrounding different driving laws. A lot of them. Speaking of that, because there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to road laws, what you're supposed to do. And speaking of that, we've experienced another wave of stupid critics. People who don't understand the law. Their criticism is based on ignorance of the law. Like some guy I was arguing with this guy, trying to claim that I turned into the wrong lane or something. He's saying, well, by law, supposed to turn into the nearest lane. And that's true for some turns and for some states. Well, actually, some states are more restrictive on left turns than other states. Pretty much all states that I know of restrict right turns to the nearest lane. But left turns are pretty open here in my state. So I was arguing with him about that. But just been getting a lot of stupid, critics, saying, oh, people can drive as slow as they want. Stop being a jerk to people driving slow. They have that right to drive slow. No, they don't. They don't. So I'm very quick to point out the vehicle code sections that prove them wrong. So I've been doing that. And you'll also notice that we have changed our font for part of our logo. Not the logo you're seeing on screen right now, but our intro. We've changed the font in the last one and changed the the little jingle at the beginning. And you'll notice that our font now matches our t-shirts that we're selling. So we finally got that dealt with. All righty. So I've got Bad Drivers of the Bay Area waiting to join us. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in. All right, let's go ahead and welcome Bad Drivers of the Bay Area. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here. And by the way, when I opened, were you able to hear the intro that I ran for this?
No, there was actually a few minutes there where I was trying to make sure I had everything set up right because it was pretty much silent. So
Oh,
no, I didn't
okay.
hear anything at the beginning.
Oh, okay. We were experimenting with something new, a
Ah,
new type of opening for our talk show, and I thought I had everything in line, but I guess it didn't work.
well, there's a first time for everything, and sometimes you don't get it right the first time.
Sometimes
So
you don't, right? Yeah. So, for anybody who's wondering, Bad Drivers of the Bay Area here is relatively close to where I am. I'm in the Napa Valley, of course, hence my name, Napa, my nickname. He is in the East Bay. I don't know. Are you public about or open about what city you are in, or do you kind of keep that under wraps?
I keep that pretty under wraps. I would say I'm in the Diablo Valley area, is pretty much as specific as I get.
Okay.
Mostly just because a lot of my clips too are all over the place. I'm sometimes in the Tri Valley. I'll be in San Francisco, as well as I'll get a lot of submissions. I've been getting a lot more submissions lately from people that are actually in the full on Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland area.
Right.
So I just try to keep it pretty broad as far as what part of the Bay Area I'm in, and for
Yeah.
various reasons. So.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. So how are things where you are?
So we're doing good. March 16th was the last time I was actually at work. I actually never made it to work. They called me as I was halfway there and said, "Hey,
Right.
you know what? We're not going to have you come in with all this going on. Go ahead and just head home." And so I did, and then I haven't been there since. So I've just been working from home. I was on call for a little bit. I was getting work here and there, like, "Hey, we need you to work on this for a few hours," and then I'd be done for the day. But now I'm actually back full time. My employer was able to get that paycheck protection program loan,
Uh-huh.
and so she basically has to have everybody back full time, which works for me because now I'm off unemployment and back working full time. So that's cool. But otherwise, yeah, we've just been staying home. Like you said, haven't been doing a lot of driving. We'll drive down to the grocery store and that's about it. So haven't really been on freeways too much. That's about it. So like you're kind of experiencing, you're not getting a whole lot of clips, but
Not getting many clips.
yeah,
Are you seeing an uptick in red light running or other crazy drivers speeding?
yeah. It just seems like just people don't care as much anymore. Like not that they cared all that much before, but
Yeah.
the basis of my channel is the fact that people just don't seem to care. But yeah, the level of caring has seemed to gone down even more. I actually was picking up some dinner last night, and a guy literally he had a yellow light and he just gunned it, but there was no way he was going to make it through, and he just blatantly blew through this red light.
Blasted right through it.
So you'll see that in a video coming up when you see the blue SUV just try to floor it, and he didn't quite make it because he blatantly blew through that light.
Yeah.
And speeding too. I've just seen a lot of people they seem to think that with all this going on, speed limits have apparently gone out the window. But
Yeah, isn't that something? Um yes, you can get my autograph, Cliff. He's asking if he can get my autograph. Sure, anytime, bud. Maybe we'll do a little meetup someday.
and I'm pretty close to getting monetized, so I might have to charge for mine.
Yeah, you might have to.
Finally hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So
There you go. So, guys, check out his channel. The link is in the description of this live stream. He does awesome videos. You do capture a lot of crazy stuff. And he does a very handy what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm
The
blanking.
overlay graphic.
The overlay graphic of distance to show how close he is being cut off when people cut him off in traffic. And it really helps, given that the wide angle lens on our dash cams does make everything look much farther away. So, it's funny because when I get a clip where I'm being cut off and I review it at home, it's like, what?
Right.
That doesn't look like anything. And of
Exactly.
course, it explains why we get so much criticism.
Hmm.
The standard, he had plenty of room.
Right.
You got to love that cop. He had plenty of room.
Yes.
Well, no, he actually did not have plenty of room
Right.
because, I've got, and I did that video where I did a side-by-side comparison of human vision
That was awesome.
with what the dash cam sees. And I had to calibrate the camera that I used to human vision, the focal length of the eyeball, of the human eyeball.
Yeah, that was a great visual for what, the phenomenon that dash cams cause, and people just don't seem to understand that. Like with my car, it's got such a long hood that doesn't happen quite as much. Like, it's usually pretty obvious. But with our van, it's got a really short hood. So every time someone will cut us off, it's like, wow, that was close. But we know it's, we'll even say to each other, like, well, that's not going to show up on dash cam.
Yeah.
So I've got to do one of those overlays for the van too, just because it's front and rear. Everything is such a short overhang.
Yeah.
Someone could be tailgating us pretty brutally and it just won't show up because you can't see the bumper of the van, since it's such a, it's a minivan. Everything's flat on the back. So yeah, I've got to do one of those. I was just editing a clip together for my next video and thought, oh man, I got to make one of those for this, because I knew how close they were, and you couldn't really drive it home. That's where that graphic definitely comes in handy, because I was just so tired of hearing what you mentioned. Oh, they were not that close. It's like, no, they were 3 feet off my bumper or less. If you saw that last tailgater video I had, that guy must have been less than a foot. So yeah, it's really coming in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chris here, I highlighted the comment here, is one of the very few people who has met me. Yeah, I met Chris in Napa at a park.
Nice.
And we were arranging it because Chris was moving to Southern California from Oregon, I think the Portland area. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoy meeting fans. I've met a couple. Now, really, the only other fans I met were other dash cammers. That was pretty cool. But yeah, we should do a meetup someday.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We're so close.
Have you joined me for a meetup?
Yeah.
Either up here or down in the East Bay or wherever.
Definitely.
Of course,
meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, once the social distancing thing ends,
yeah, it wouldn't be much of a meetup if we have to stay 6 feet apart. So.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, Jaden. No face reveal for now. Although you guys did get a little tiny bit of a face reveal in a home movie that I posted back when I was, how old was I? 1992, so I would have been 13 years old. Yeah, I was just a wee lad at the age of 13 at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There was a brief moment where you could kind of see my face. Oh, I should release that video where, let's see. Now, how old was I in this one? I think I was 12 and I was driving a car. Yeah, I should post that. We were in Death Valley, and because we used to go all the time. And my parents had what was it? I think it was a Toyota Tercel. Yeah, it was a Toyota Tercel. The most underpowered lawnmower you can imagine driving. Yep. And we're going up a washboard dirt road somewhere in Death Valley, and my parents let me drive, and they turned the camera on me.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Well, things were different back then.
My mom actually started driving when she was 10. Like, just drive on public roads. But then again, she was with her parents on an Indian reservation. So
nice.
My parents were missionaries, and they spent some time on the reservation. Wide open land. If you've ever been out there, it's amazing. Just like hundreds of square miles of just open land. You can pretty much do whatever you want out there.
Yeah.
So, but it was also 1960. So I don't think they cared if 10-year-olds driving a car.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, things were different back then. Your seatbelt was your dad's arm.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
had to slam on the brakes. He just, oh,
Yeah,
here you are.
your seatbelt was the steering wheel.
Yep. Yeah, I
course.
actually spent a lot of time kind of learned to drive with golf carts, actually.
Yeah.
But nobody in my family golfed. It was actually because we had some property up in your area near Lake Berryessa. It's called Our Ranch at the Lake.
Ah.
And it was kind of it wasn't really a timeshare because you actually owned a deed to the property. But
Right.
it was the same kind of thing where you would go and there was just different people there all the time doing the same thing, just camping, going to the pool. They had a horse stable, so you can go on trail rides on horses. I learned how to ride a horse while
Oh,
we were.
cool.
I still can. I got like pretty advanced where I was leading trail rides. But to get around the property, you wouldn't drive your car because a lot of these roads were too narrow or just too small. And so you would, if you were a serious owner and you spent a lot of time there, you would buy your own golf cart.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time just driving around the golf cart and exploring and meeting, kids my own age around the property. And so once I actually got into a car, I was pretty set from that. And as well as I'm really big into driving simulators on the computer. So
that's cool.
I was pretty well set up for driving. I think it was my very first driving course where you go out with the teacher and he was like, "Hey, why don't you hop on the freeway?" I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'm confident you're looking pretty good. I think you can get on the freeway your first time." So,
Well, pretty soon we're going to be saying, where we're going, we don't need roads.
right.
In the words of the great
Exactly.
Doc Brown, right?
Yep, that's actually my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big sucker for 80s movies in general. I grew up in the 80s, so that's it for me. 80s music, 80s movies, all the classics. Breakfast Club and the Brat Pack movies and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, yeah, it's just something. Clueless Drivers in SoCal. Yes, I'm not. So somebody else asked if I'm doing a face reveal. No, not at least not my current face. Body figure reveal. Yes, that I do plan to do. Once we can actually get to the beach, once the beaches aren't closed anymore, then I might do that. The body figure reveal. Let's see.
Yeah, and Clueless Drivers of SoCal, he's also mentioning how it's funny that being in a Crown Victoria doesn't necessarily dissuade being cut off.
Nope.
And it doesn't at all. And I can point to the reason why is that a lot of, especially Highway Patrol, they don't use Crown Victorias anymore. So the fear factor of seeing a Crown Victoria on the road is gone away. It's now, the Explorers and to a lesser extent, sometimes the Chargers.
Yeah. Well, you just need to get yourself a Ford Explorer and put the push bar on the front and a spotlight, and you're good. You're not impersonating. As long as you're, as long as, there's no law that says you can't have those two things, and have it all white so you look like you're unmarked or, the personal vehicle of the chief or something.
Right. Yeah, my first Crown Vic was black, so I got actually a little bit more of that phenomenon showing up. People would see me come up behind them and they'd either get over or they'd be speeding by me and they'd brake. And because that one was Former Patrol and it had more of that look.
What really gets me is when I'm driving and the person in front of me is already going like 5 or 10 under the speed limit. Right, they're going already slow.
Yep.
And they see a cop and they slam on the brakes. It's like, what the hell?
Which you're more likely to get pulled over.
You can get pulled over for doing that. It's like you're already going slow. Right. Now you're going to slam the brakes. Now you look suspicious, like you're hiding something.
Exactly. I wonder what they've got a guilty conscience.
Yeah, it's like, what do you have in your trunk, huh? got a trunk full of Coke. Well, actually, that was a funny prank. So some YouTuber stuffed his trunk full of Coke, and he walked up to a cop, and in Huntington Beach or somewhere in Southern California, he's all, "Hey, I've got a trunk full of Coke."
Hmm.
And they got on the radio and called for backup, and they got like 10, 12, a dozen officers, right? Dozen officers show up. The guy pops his trunk. Coca-Cola.
Wow.
A trunk full of Coca-Cola, but the guy still ended up in handcuffs.
Yeah, well, he deserved that.
So, I mean, I think the premise of the joke's pretty funny, but in practice, no, I wouldn't recommend wasting an officer's time on something like that.
Yeah, they don't look too kindly on false reports like that.
No.
Reporting yourself.
Right. Yeah, that was that was something. And then there's another prankster. One of the most well-known ones on YouTube, Vitaly. I'm sure some of you listening know who he is. I guess he was recently arrested for being crazy. It's like these YouTubers that you've watched, and they just one day just snap and go crazy, and next thing you know, you're reading about them in the news.
Right.
Yeah, what's going on with the world? So somebody wanted me to bring something up about slow drivers. Speaking of them,
Mm-hmm.
I had mentioned in a video, and I probably have mentioned it in other videos, and I probably talked about it in other live streams about how slow drivers encourage reckless driving behavior in others. Right. So somebody commented and say, "Hey, you should bring this up next time. Next time you do a live stream, talk about how slow drivers cause other drivers to drive aggressively." And I won't say that they directly cause people to do stupid things, aggressive things, impatient things. It's not that they cause them to do it. I argue that it encourages, it brings out the tendencies of impatient drivers to do stupid things when they encounter a slow driver. And I can't tell you how much craziness I've seen in my lifetime indirectly, and I will say indirectly, caused or encouraged by slow drivers, like dangerous passing, either in the oncoming lane on a blind curve or on the shoulder, or just other things like just extreme tailgating. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to really add to that. Just that, yes, slow drivers who are going less than the flow of normal traffic do encourage dangerous driving habits from others.
Absolutely.
Who get frustrated. And actually that led to the addition of no passing zones along one of our major corridors through the Napa Valley. The Silverado Trail is one of the two parallel thoroughfares that connect the south end of the Napa Valley to the north end of the Napa Valley. The very busy routes up and down the valley, and it's been such a bloodbath, especially along the Silverado Trail. Given that it's one lane in each direction, and it is notorious for slow drivers, but it's also notorious for the worst speeders. So you get the combination of speeders and slow drivers. That's a bad mix, really bad mix. And these speeders often do very ballsy things. So we had so many deaths along the Silverado Trail that locals actually coined it the suicide trail, because it was that bad. Like, we had just so many deaths every year, just constantly talked about in the newspaper, and it got so bad that they restriped the center of the roadway to make most areas non-passing zones, to discourage this type of behavior. Even on long, flat, open with no driveways, double yellow line to discourage passing. But none of this solves the problem of the slow drivers.
Exactly.
They need to erect signs and maybe, because there are plenty of wide enough spots for people to pull over who are going slow. But it is required by law if you're going slower than the speed of traffic and you have 5 or more vehicles behind you, it is the law that you must pull off the road. And they need to put signs up to encourage the slow drivers to do that. And then you add to the mix, of course, we have a lot of wineries here. I mean, it is the Napa Valley, so we're pretty much the wine capital of the country. So you have drunk drivers in addition, and tourists. Not, they don't know which winery they want to go to, so they drive 2 miles an hour on a 55 mile an hour roadway. And,
Right.
oh, look at that! Look at the scenery. Oh, that winery right there. Oh, there we go. And
So what you need on those roads, especially those one lanes. Have you ever played Mario Kart? You need
I
those
have
little
not, but I've
patches.
heard of it.
You
I've
need those
heard of
little
it.
patches on the ground that just boost you up into speed. So you got slow drivers, and they'll hit those patches, and then they'll finally get up to speed, whether they like it or not. That's what.
Right.
That'll help.
Yeah. Oh, what's this? Clueless Drivers of SoCal says 4 people who died in a head-on collision involving 2 motorcycles near Modjeska Canyon have been identified. Oh, okay. Okay, he's just reporting on the news, but yeah, it's still happening even with these stay-at-home orders. I wouldn't quite call it a lockdown though, because this isn't technically a lockdown.
Right. That's why I get a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we have to stay at home. You got to stay in your house." It's like you're not being barred from going outside and going for a walk or
absolutely no.
It's far from a lockdown. I agree.
Oh, absolutely. Then you have other people calling this tyranny, government tyranny. Trying to think of some other buzzwords that they use.
Right.
Tyranny. Fascism. That's a good one. Some people are like, oh, this is the fascist government is telling us that we can't go outside and spread the virus to others.
Right.
I
mean, to a certain extent, I'm kind of wondering, like, how much of it is, hey, let's
maybe
see
some of it is an overreaction. Yeah, absolutely.
We can make them not be able to do next, or
yeah, I mean, maybe for some areas it's an overreaction, especially areas that aren't really exposed to the virus much. And then other areas, it's not an overreaction. In fact, there have been underreactions. I think New York City was an example of an underreaction. They didn't do shelter in place soon enough there. But so there's an art gallery in our town that has openly defied the order to not operate, to keep their doors closed. And it is a non-essential business. It's an art gallery. Art is nice. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate art. I love art. I actually come from a family of artists. But it can wait another month. And they actually went on record, posted a what do you call it? Like a letter to the editor announcing we are opening our doors in flagrant defiance of the orders to stay closed. I'm not even kidding you. And this was posted to the newspaper. And they also contacted law enforcement, all the county officials and state officials, saying we are defying your order. Can you believe that? And in their letter to the editor, they were talking about how they were civil disobedience. They were prepared for lawsuits, fines, jail time. Were willing to put their own freedoms on the line to do this. Wow. Now, what's funny is they said if we don't open our doors back up, we're facing financial ruin. One sentence later, they said we're consulting with attorneys and we are financially prepared to fight any charges that come our way. Okay, do you see the problem here?
Lawyers aren't cheap.
Lawyers aren't cheap. And I'm going to tell you who this art gallery is. It is, I'm going to post it right here. It's Quint Cordair Fine Art. in downtown Napa.
Man, how dumb would you feel if you could have made it through all of this fine, and then you catch the virus because you went to an art gallery?
Exactly. I mean, so that's the name of the art gallery, folks, that is openly defying the order, and I think it's very foolish. I'm actually not happy about it at all. I mean, I get that they want to open their doors. I feel their pain because I'm a business owner myself. I actually had to close my business too, but I'm staying the course. I'm trying to do my part to contain the spread. Not that I likely have it, but we're trying to do this. Where was I going with this? Sorry, lost my train of thought. But so I think it's foolish. What I also don't like about it is this gallery actually has a very large following, a very large following. Their followers, I don't think, are just limited to Napa. So that means that they're opening their doors is going to draw people from other places that maybe hit a lot harder with the virus than we are, which means they may be bringing the virus to us into our town.
Right.
So I'm actually really pissed about that. I'm not happy. I think they're very foolish. I've met the owners actually of this gallery, but yeah, any kind of I don't know what this other word is I'm looking for. I don't know, niceness. There's another word I'm thinking of, trying to think of that I can't think of. That just kind of goes out the window. It's like, okay, you guys are freaking fools. So, whatever. We'll let the authorities take care of them.
Just looking at the sidebar chat, man, Jaden here really wants to know what kind of car you drive, and he's not being weird about it.
I think everybody does. I think everybody wants to know what I drive. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry, Jaden, but I have to stay anonymous about it. I did enter a pact with the rest of my team that we would never reveal what kind of cars we have. I mean, if other people have figured it out, but we'll leave that to them. Would I consider a car wash an essential business? There's a lot of subjectivity in terms of what is essential and what isn't. But there's also some objectivity as to what's essential and what's not. I mean, I think we can all agree that grocery stores, banks, medical offices, the hospitals, police departments, fire departments, hardware stores. I think hardware stores are essential because,
right?
Hey, if a light bulb goes out in your room, it's a safety issue if you can't see, right? If you're like finding furniture with your shins.
Right. Or, toilet backs up. Nobody wants to be stuck at home.
Toilet backs up, and now you're dealing with, you're dealing with crap coming onto your floor. That's a health and safety issue.
Exactly.
So we got to have, Napa's car is a shapeshifter. I'll go with that answer. Shapeshifter. So anytime anybody asks what kind of car I drive, I'm just going to say shapeshifter. How about that? Yeah. Yeah. So things like that. But art gallery, I'm sorry. No. Just no. It's not essential. Ay. Yeah, Ford Pinto. You notice how Ford Pintos always explode when they're rear-ended?
Yeah, that was actually a legitimate design flaw.
Yeah. Because of the placement of their gas tank.
Exactly.
I think the Mythbusters might have. Oh, Chris is texting me. It's so funny. Don't worry, Chris. It's fine. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, we exchange numbers.
No, it's info on the black market.
Yeah, it's fine, Chris. Don't worry, you're fine. What else do we have? Yeah, hardware stores absolutely essential, and contractors. Yeah, and I don't think the virus, from what I understand and what my own logic tells me, the virus doesn't spread as easily outside for a couple of reasons. You're not dealing with, you know, contained air or recirculating air when you're outside. The wind blows, it blows everything one direction away from you. Well, or towards you. Depends if somebody is upwind from you who's spreading their virus or whatever. But the sunlight, the UV radiation from the sunlight kills it pretty quickly, from what I understand. But don't quote me on that because I don't want to be the one who spreads false information. So
Yeah, I've heard
wise.
that, and I've heard people say that that's not true. So
Yeah, it could be. I've just
apparently
heard that. Yeah, it could
Australia,
be.
I guess, had a bad strain of it, and it was during their summer.
Yep, yep.
So it's hard to tell if
Uh,
that's
y-
accurate.
yeah. So we'll let the experts defer to the experts on that. Everybody. Napa, do you like pickup trucks? Um. Well, I'm not.
Well, if you have to think about it that long.
I'm yeah. If I have to think about that. Well, I'm not against pickup trucks. I'm neutral about pickup trucks actually, except for I like that I can haul stuff in them. So I like pickup trucks for the practicality of what they were designed for, for hauling stuff. So yes, I like pickup trucks in that aspect. But for an everyday commuter, I think it's pointless. I think if you don't have a pickup truck to haul something, personally, my own opinion, I think is a little bit of a waste. They're more expensive. I think the insurance is higher on a pickup truck,
And
right?
registration. They're
Yeah.
considered commercial vehicle, at least in California. I actually owned one back about 13 years ago. I had an '07 Silverado, and it was classified as a commercial vehicle due to the amount that it could haul and tow. So when I went for the first time to pay my registration, it was about $500.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the DMV, I'm like, no, there must have been a mistake because why is it? There's a commercial weight fee on my registration, and they said, no, yeah, it's a pickup truck, so it's registered. It's technically considered a commercial vehicle because of what you might be able to do with it.
Right.
The only
So,
way to get around that is you put a tonneau cover or a camper shell on it, and
yeah,
then you have
I
to be registered.
I respect people's decisions to own and drive whatever vehicle they want, you know. I just personally, for me, wouldn't get a pickup truck unless I needed a pickup truck, unless I was going to use it to haul stuff. Um,
Well, your car's a shapeshifter, so it can just
yeah,
turn
it's
into
a
a truck,
shapeshifter,
right?
so I can become a truck if I want to. Hey, there we go.
Problem. Yeah, the only thing about having a truck is that it can haul stuff, but then everybody knows that, and
And then they're like, "Hey,
I
hey,
had
I'm
to
moving. Can you come
pick
help
up.
me move?"
Yeah, can I borrow
Right.
your truck?
Yeah,
No.
can I borrow your truck? Yeah, all these kind of requests, and then nobody leaves you alone after that.
Yep. You make a lot of friends when you own a pickup truck.
Oh, you do. You absolutely do. But, you know, yeah, I could have used a pickup truck when I was doing the business of working on those egg farms, because I had to haul, hay, bales of hay. So I was, you know, basically being a little bit of a rancher. And when you're a ranch hand, a truck is very helpful.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, but no, I just drove my car, and I had to flip my not yeah, I had to flip my headrest so I could drive with my cowboy hat on,
Yeah.
because you can't drive a car with a cowboy hat on if your
No.
if your headrest is facing the normal way.
Right.
So, because I did wear a cowboy hat when I was out on the ranch. So, and they're really good at keeping the sun off your face when you're outside a lot.
Yep.
Because
Yeah, I
I
would.
do I do hike a lot.
Yeah, I'd
Um,
wear
I,
one when I was out at our ranch when I was riding horses, and then
yep.
I decided, oh, I was in think like the third grade at that time. Oh, I'll wear mine to school and go the whole jeans and boots and cowboy hat route. Yeah, that didn't make me the most popular person.
Well, I don't know.
But hey, I was
Nowadays,
16.
now I see people in my own town wearing them now, so it's all cool. I think we're kind of going back to that a little
Yeah,
bit.
I was ahead of my time.
I did buy myself a really nice Stetson.
Nice.
That was cool. Um, so I've got a Stetson, a Justin, got a little collection of hats. Oh, how did you fit a hay bale in a car? It just worked. It just worked out. It's the clearance with the open door was just enough. I could fit a hay bale, not bay hail, a bay hail, a hay bale in the car. But yeah, I could have used a pickup truck. That would have been a little easier, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see. So so yesterday it hit the news that Governor Newsom was going to close all of the state parks here in the state. All of
And
them.
beaches too is what I've read.
Did you hear that? That he
Yeah,
was going to close all of them? And
I
so
think
people
that
were
actually
starting to
happened.
people were starting to freak out like, "Oh my god." And then it turns out that that was a misunderstanding. So when Newsom did his public address today, he actually announced that it was just Orange County he was targeting with the closure of the state parks.
Gotcha.
I mean, there are other state parks that are closed, like Mount Diablo State Park has been closed a
Right.
while in your area. All of the beaches, the state park beaches are closed.
Yep.
There's a couple state parks in my county that are going to stay open, and I'm really happy about that. But it's really funny because all the hikes that I do, because there are like a million places to go hiking in Napa County, and I hike a lot. Anybody who's been listening to my live streams long enough, knows that I love to hike, and I hike every week. I try to hike twice a week if I can, but I'm always so busy that sometimes it ends up being once a week. But everywhere I hike, I can see Mount Diablo from wherever I'm hiking, and I'm always looking at that mountain going, God, I just want to hike there. I just want to go hiking there. When's this goddamn park going to open back up again? Have you ever been to the I may have asked you already, but have you ever been to the top of Mount Diablo?
Yes, I have. There was actually an astronomy. There's the Mount Diablo Astronomy club that's around here that was doing an event. I think every month they did an event where they'd bring all their telescopes up, and you could go up there and join them and check out, different. Sometimes it'd be Saturn or the moon or
Yeah.
astronomical phenomenon they'd be checking out. And so, yeah, I went up there with my daughter one time where we just drove up and
Cool.
got to the very top. It was cold and windy as hell, but
Yes. It's always windy.
but it was very scenic. I actually did kind of a little photo shoot up there, mostly with my car. But
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Have you had a chance yet to hike any of the trails around there?
not around there. The only thing that I've hiked, because I've been trying to get my kids out more. Well, I was.
Right.
We
Until
went
this
to
happened.
the Lafayette Reservoir, and there's really good hiking around there. Where you
Yeah.
can walk the trail, and you can it's a whole loop around the entire reservoir. So we made it about, I think, a quarter of the way,
Yeah.
because they're still really young, so they weren't going to have the ability to go the entire way. But
Yeah.
it was still really good to get out and
Yeah.
fresh air. And
That's really cool. When this whole stay-at-home order lifts, you should join my wife and I for a hike sometime.
yeah, that'd
If
be
you're up for that, let's go to the Lafayette Reservoir or wherever, in the East Bay and check things out, because there are a lot of places I haven't seen yet. I'd still like to do the Black Diamond Mines Regional Park right next to Mount Diablo and what you were talking about. And there are also some other not state parks, excuse me, regional parks just east of Oakland, Tilden,
Yep.
Wildcat, and some others. I'd love to do all that.
Yeah.
So, be kind of cool. Do a meetup, do a hiking meetup, a hiking / DashCam meetup.
And then we'll meet up, have a hike, and then post all the clips we get on our way.
Right, on our way. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
Hey, so I'm gonna just step away just for
Sure.
a second, and I'll be right back. All right.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Well, while he steps away, let's go to some questions in the sidebar chat. So, do you guys have questions for me while we're waiting for my guest to come back? Okay. Well, we're waiting for you guys to post your questions there in the sidebar chat. Oh, you guys are having floods in Edmonton. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So, are these floods caused by just straight up rain, or are you guys dealing with oh, I forgot. You guys are a little further from the Rockies. I was going to say, is it melting runoff from the snow from the Rockies? But no, you guys are a little far away for that. Wow, that sucks. You know, we could use your rain down here. It's been unseasonably dry. In fact, we've entered drought, and we're looking to get whatever we can get as far as precipitation, as they are predicting a really bad fire season for California this year. We've had very little rain. Oh, so how bored have I been? I have to be honest with you. I'm not bored at all. I haven't been. I've been just as busy as ever, to be completely honest with you, during this shelter-in-place order. It's given me a chance to try to catch up with stuff, but I can't ever seem to get there, because it's just I always have stuff to do. I never have a shortage of work or things to do. So no, I'm the opposite of bored. In fact, it's kind of gotten to the point where I wish I could just hire a personal assistant to help me get on top of all the tasks that keep piling up. And to add to all that, we're growing a vegetable garden, a big one, and that takes time and effort to do. Not because we're anticipating really any food shortage here, because we're not really facing a shortage in vegetables, but there's just something about growing your own food that's rewarding, a very rewarding feeling. Let's see, what far out cities do you get to during normal times? Yeah, I get to Fairfield quite a lot during normal times. Really, that's it. I mean, well, Santa Rosa, actually, because I do go to the coast a lot. So some of my hiking I do here locally, but I also do a lot of hiking out at the coast. So I'd say Santa Rosa, Guerneville, those are some of the more substantial cities that you see in our dashcam footage. But we work so much around here that we don't have much of a chance to get to other cities. But we have a friend who lives in the East Bay, so we're going to try to get together with him a little more often, and then we're going to get together with Bad Drivers of Bay Area, hopefully, right? So we'll be hitting some other far out cities from our area as well. Oh, so he answered my question here, Jay Whirl. The lakes connected to the rivers have been covered in ice and melted. Okay, so it is a form of runoff that you guys are dealing with. Yeah. Yeah. Do you go outside often, or do you stay inside? Well, given that I can work from home, I've been working from home, obviously staying inside a lot, but I do get outside to go hiking. So, like I was saying earlier, I go hiking at least once or twice a week. And if I happen to be having a slightly slower week, I might even go hiking 3 times a week. But I get outside as much as I can. I go out, side to tend to our animals. because we do have animals out back, and we also have a vegetable garden now. So, yeah, just yard work, tend to the animals, and that sort of thing. How often do you run into bad drivers on a daily basis? Well, that really depends on. God, there's so many different variables there because, the extent of our work that requires us to go out, it's highly variable. I do drive to go to my hiking places quite a lot, so it's funny because I could drive around for 4 hours and not capture a single thing, or I could drive for 10 minutes and capture 5 things. So I'd say that's highly irregular. How about you, Bay Area?
Yeah, I'd say around here, if you're driving, then it is on a daily basis. So
You're right.
it also depends on how critical you are. If you think, okay, that person rolled through a stop sign, if that's bad driving, then you're going to see that all the time.
Right. Or
Where
no signals.
right, kind of depends
Yeah.
on how you deem it to be bad driving. How critical you're going to be.
Yeah.
I've tried to loosen up my, or actually tighten up my description of what is a bad driver a little bit. Just looking
Right.
back at some of my older clips, I'm like, maybe that could have been
Yeah.
left on the cutting room floor. But
Well, you may have noticed that for our videos that I've I let a lot more stuff slide now than I used to. If you watch some of our older videos, we don't feature nor honk at people nearly as much who don't signal their turns.
right,
But you did notice in one of our recent videos, somebody came to a complete stop in the road to turn left and didn't signal. And I knew that they were probably turning left, but I honked just to make a point like, hey,
right.
use your goddamn turn signal.
It's the principle of the thing.
It's the principle of the thing. You get a turn, you got to let people know what the hell you're doing, right? So, yeah.
And they need to know that they messed up because hey, maybe they
You
don't
know they
realize it.
messed up.
Gotta let them know.
Yeah, absolutely. You effed up. Yeah. Yeah. So, so I don't have any beer, so I'm doing vodka
Oh wow,
shots.
no beer. That's like your
No, I
staple.
know. I usually do that. That's my staple for these live streams, right? But
Going straight for
I'm
the hard stuff. All right.
I straight for the hard stuff. So I've got this. This is what distilled and bottled. Can't talk. Distilled and bottled in Poland.
Hmm.
It's Gruven vodka. Now I wasn't doing too many straight up shots. I was mostly mixing it with tomato juice. So it's like my version of a Bloody Mary. So my recipe for my own version of Bloody Mary it would be I do in a I think they call it a jigger, right? The
Yeah.
measuring thing for the hard liquor.
Yes.
So I do like an ounce and a half of vodka, pour it in the glass. I put 2 drops of ghost pepper hot sauce in there because I like my Bloody Marys really super spicy. In fact, I'm addicted to spicy food, almost to the point where I have a problem. So, so I put 2 drops of ghost pepper sauce, and that goes a long ways. And then I dump a crap load of ground black pepper in there, and then I fill the rest of it up with just straight up tomato juice, and then I mix and drink.
Wow.
And it's delicious.
Yeah. See, I've never had a Bloody Mary. It just doesn't seem all that appealing. Which is, I do like spicy food as
Yeah, a
well.
lot of people don't like Bloody Marys. But I'm kind of addicted not only to hot, spicy things, but I'm also addicted to tomato flavors.
Oh, okay.
I'm I'm a sucker for tomatoey flavors.
There's another
So
one out there. Was it Michelada, where it's the beer
yeah,
with the tomato? I've never had one of those two, but I can only imagine what
I
that tastes
can't drink that because it has like shellfish extract in it, and I'm
like.
allergic, so
Oh yeah,
I can't
that'll
consume
do it.
that. But it I smelled it. Somebody had it, open up a can of that, and I smelled it, and it smelled really, really good. And I wish I could, but Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do that. But one thing that really gives Bloody Mary its punch is the horseradish paste that's put in there. But I don't have any horseradish, so I just make my own version of a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I've never had it, but I don't want to say I don't like it.
Now, my wife tells me that Bloody Marys are a woman's drink. So she kind of makes fun of me when I drink a Bloody Mary. She says, "Oh, that's a sissy drink. That's a lady's drink." So she kind of pokes fun at me for that.
See, I've only ever heard it's an old man's drink. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I hear the same thing about margaritas. Oh, that's a girl's drink. It's got a girl's name. It's a girl's.
It's got a girl's name.
Hey, but it's margaritas. So
it's 2020. It's 2020 now, where genders don't matter so much. So like you could do whatever you want, and nobody will. They don't have people don't have any leeway really to make fun anymore.
Right.
Based on you're doing something that the opposite gender does.
Yeah, too much wokeness.
Because we've evolved as a society to where it's okay, and I like that. I like being able to do what I like, do what I want, and not have my wife tease me for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, I figure I'm really into bourbon too, so that offsets the margarita.
Oh, I love bourbon. Yeah, the only hard liquor I don't like on its own is tequila. Although I have to say I'm kind of warming up to it. My wife's trying to get me to warm up to it, and it's working. You start with the flavored stuff, right? So it kind of makes it a little easier to slip in there, with the, getting into that. So you start with that, then you can do the hard stuff that has none of the flavor to mask the perceived harshness of the straight up alcohol. Now, I did have, I tried some moonshine.
Speaking of hard alcohol,
and it's funny because they talk about moonshine being illegal in the state of California, and it's actually not. I looked it up.
No,
it's legal, but it's only legal up to a certain alcohol percentage.
Right.
So, like, let me see if I can remember this correctly. I think, now don't quote me on this, but I think the limit is 80% alcohol. Now, if you consider your average hard liquor, it's 40% alcohol, 80 proof. So proof is always double what the alcohol content is. Moonshine is actually, the version that I bought at Bevmo. Yeah, Bevmo.
Mm-hmm.
We finally got a Bevmo in Napa. I was really happy about that. We finally got a Bevmo here, and they added moonshine to their list, and they were actually selling a moonshine that was 2% over the legal limit, but who cares? It's harmless. I kind of think a law like that is a little bit pointless. This is not hurting anybody. But anyway, nonetheless, so we bought because I'd never had moonshine, so it's like vodka times 2. My wife hates vodka straight up. She says it smells like rubbing alcohol, and I open up the bottle and I smell it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It does smell like rubbing alcohol, but it doesn't bother me. Like I could take a straight up shot of it and it doesn't make me cough or doesn't bother me in any way. But I tried moonshine and I was expecting that to knock me off my feet. It actually wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first time it touches your tongue, it burns.
Right.
Like that's how much alcohol it has in it. It burns the hell out of your tongue. So I'm like, I don't know if this is going to do too well with me, but I took like a half a shot and it burned pretty good going down, but it's like, no, something about this is, I kind of like this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking up. I don't see anything that distinctly says what the alcohol content can be, what the limit is.
Yeah, I did look it up, and I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was like 80%. Mm-hmm. But again, if somebody can correct me on that, please do. Someone's joking here. Crackhead Kathy is serving time at a federal prison for smuggling 5 tons of narcotics. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. So for any of you guys who aren't familiar with our videos, we have a long time running Crackhead Kathy joke where we're always mentioning Crackhead Kathy and her million relatives from her inbred family tree, which isn't a tree. It's more like a stick coming out of the ground. That's what an inbred family tree looks like. A tree without branches. Or branches that curve back in on itself and go back into the trunk. Yeah. Any more questions there in the sidebar chat for either of us?
Yeah, we're usually getting behind on the questions.
I know. Tonight the chat's not going that fast. We don't have as big of a turnout as we did last time. God, it's all a blur now. I don't even remember who we had on last time.
You had Day in the Life of a Tour Bus driver.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had Day in the Life of a Tour Bus Driver. Yep. And before that, we had Snowcat.
Yep. I listened to that one. I've been a follower of his since probably right when he started. I think.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
I was actually really surprised that he agreed to be my guest.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He's like, what is he? He's like he's the most famous dash cammer, isn't he? Not dash cammer, motoblogger.
Yep, he's got to be. I know there's only a few other ones I can think of off the top of my head. Like, I can think of him. So
yeah,
he's got to be up there for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed having him on.
Oh, and speaking of guests and spicy foods, have you seen the YouTube series Hot Ones?
I think so. Is it?
He's got celebrities on, and he asks.
Yeah, he has them try different spicy foods, and he talks to him. He interviews him while he's gradually increasing the spice level.
Yep. It's very interesting. Some of the people you think would wuss out are actually they'll tough it out pretty good, and then people you think would be okay with it, like Gordon Ramsay.
Ramsay, yes.
He was like down in all these different bottles of water, and like for some reason he was doing lemon and lime juice, which I guess that helps. But
no, I think that's a myth.
Storm, and
that doesn't help me.
I wouldn't imagine it would, but yeah, he's like eating donuts and stuff, just trying to
I remember that one.
Spiciness.
He was trying not to cuss more than he's inclined to.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny.
And then you had someone like Justin Timberlake went on, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna lose it. They even said in the title that he's gonna cry a river,
but he didn't.
He didn't. He made it all the way to the end. I don't.
Yeah.
If he ever took a drink of anything.
I've only met my nemesis once when it came to spicy foods, because my dad would always challenge me on spicy foods. Like, here, son, try this. See if you could top this. See if you can handle this. And it's like, okay, I'll show you. He got me one time. He got me once. He'll never let me down on that. I love my dad. He's great. William says, you had Snowcat on a live stream? God bless your soul. Yes, I did. So William, we do save our live streams. So after we go live, people can go back and watch them or listen to them. So go back, I think about 2 live streams, and you'll see. Yep. You can watch my live stream with him. Mr. Meme, how many drunk drivers do you run into in a year? Well, that's a hard one to answer, because short of yanking people out of their cars and breathalyzing them, I don't know. All I can say is we encounter people that we suspect could be drunk or under the influence or tired or talking on the cell phone. So we don't really know. We don't really know that one.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to make a distinction as to what is going on with certain people. And I feel like I've gone years where I haven't seen any, and then I've had years where I've seen a couple. It's like you said, it's hard to tell too.
Yeah. Clueless Drivers in SoCal is asking who are those 2 dash camming women who drove the Marin County area for a while ago. I'm not aware of any fellow dash cammer in the Marin area, but you might be thinking of the Sonoma County area, more specifically the city of Santa Rosa. If you're talking about the same people, right? I actually became friends with both of them, and we did some dash cam meetups. So let me know if you're thinking of the same ones. How about the Carolina Reaper pepper? Is that a drink?
No, that is a type of pepper, and it's
Oh, it's a pepper.
incredibly spicy. Yeah.
Oh, I've actually not heard of that one, which is why I was confused. You've heard of it?
Oh yeah.
I've
Yeah.
not heard of it.
I'm surprised a spicy connoisseur as yourself has not heard of it.
Well, I don't know if I'd quite call myself a connoisseur. I just call myself somewhat immune to the effects and being addicted to spicy foods. Like I do know a lot of the hot peppers, but I don't know all of them. So yeah, I've never heard of the Carolina Reaper pepper. Is it? I wonder if it's hotter than a ghost pepper because so far the ghost pepper is the hottest one I've come across. But if somebody could tell me if there's a hotter pepper than the ghost pepper, then by all means tell me so I can challenge myself. I can level up. Level up on the hot peppers.
That's when you should do your face reveal when you try the Carolina Reaper pepper.
Yeah. Well, he says that it is the hottest pepper in the world. So I would like to buy a bottle of, if they make it,
I wonder how many Scovilles that is.
Yeah, of that pepper, made as an additive for your food, where you can you can drip drops of it in your food, mix it in.
Okay. That pepper is 2.2 million Scoville, which is
wow. Okay, what's a ghost pepper? I'll let you look up ghost pepper.
Let's see.
So you said it was 2.2 million for the Carolina Reaper pepper.
Yep. Scoville is only about 1 million. So
aha, then that may be the world's winner. Yep. Aha.
And for just sort of a point of reference, like sriracha, if you're familiar with that, that is only about between 1,000 to 2,500 Scoville.
Okay, now what about the habanero? I don't remember what the Scovilles were listed at for various peppers.
Between 100,000 and 350,000. So
wow.
Not anywhere close.
Not close to the ghost pepper. Now, you're not going to find me eating a ghost pepper straight up. That's not going to happen. But I have minced a habanero pepper and put it in my soup. And I rather enjoyed that. Yes, the quarantine, in a sense, has brought out some pretty bad drivers. With the roads being open, people think that they can speed, they can do crazy things, run red lights. They think that there's a lack of enforcement. Well, there is not a lack of enforcement. The police have gone on record as saying that they are continuing their enforcement measures. They are still pulling people over. Doesn't matter if they think you might have the virus. They're going to pull you over.
All right. I actually, I was thinking of trying something because we have the screen share option here, and just talking about.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You could screen your share. Screen your share.
This guy that I was talking about from last night, where he blatantly ran the red, and I'm like, wow, I don't know if I've seen anybody that, at least recently, just that blatant, just blow right through something. So let me see if I can get this. Okay.
Ah.
All right.
I think I have to add it. Let me add it. There you go.
I've only got one monitor for right now, so let me know when that's.
It's up.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
So green, we're yellow, and it's like there's no way he's gonna make it, and he just boom
blows right through it. There we go.
You can see he's sped up.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed. I couldn't believe it. But, well, I could. I believe. What am I saying?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And a little bit before that, same guy had been coming out of a side street, and I was watching him, and it looked like he wasn't going to stop. I was actually
Huh.
brake to, just in case he just was going to blow through his stop sign. And he finally, at the very end, he ended up stopping and gave me a little, adrenaline rush there because I didn't know what was going to happen. But yeah, and then he gets behind me and then goes around me, and then he does that. So
Oh gosh.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Hey, I'm gonna take a brief break here. I'm gonna try to play something, so let me know if it works. There's gonna be a bit of a delay, but I'm gonna try because I'm trying a new system for our live stream talk shows here, and I guess it didn't work earlier, but I'm gonna try it again. So I will be right back with you guys. All right. Soon to be back.
So just looking at some of the questions I see. Have you ever been pulled over before? I have a few times back in my younger days, not so much recently. And every time it was for speed. I've only gotten one ticket from it. The other times they let me go with a warning. One funny story I had was I was out in the middle of...
You're listening to Bad Drivers Caught on DashCam, your continuous source of epic driving fails paired with intriguing commentary. We also put out the occasional live stream where we talk about various driving-related topics and anything else relating to the DashCam community and the world of YouTube. I am your host, Napa, a nickname coined from back when our DashCam channel was called Bad Drivers of Napa Valley. We put out 2 to 4 videos per month, and you don't want to miss them. You're listening to Bad Drivers Caught on DashCam, and we'll be right back with you.
All right. Well,
Hello. I think we're back.
there you go.
There we go. I'm not sure what the problem was. That was really weird. Okay, so did my little bit play while I
It
was out?
did eventually.
Eventually, yeah. I really struggled with that. Yeah, I'm just trying to find some filler when I'm gone. So, yeah, I apologize, guys, but we finally got back in order. I don't know what that was. It's weird. I had to because I went into my settings and I talked into the microphone. The microphone was lit up. There's a little light on the microphone that indicates that it has power. I went into settings, and you can gauge the audio level of the input when you talk. And it was registering that there was an active input, but StreamYard wasn't picking it up. It was really weird. I don't remember what I did actually just now. I think I don't know. I did something and it came back. That's weird.
Whatever you did, it worked.
Whatever it is, I worked. Whatever, yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, one of the questions we had was if we'd ever been pulled over. So I was in the middle of answering that question. But long story short, the one time I got pulled over, I was out near it was a town called Pioneer, and I was out with a friend. It was her birthday, and we were out in the middle of nowhere on this 2-lane road out in the mountains. And I had just gotten that truck that I had told you about. It was brand new, and I was showing it off to her, and I had no idea what the speed limit was, and I apparently let it get away from myself a little bit. We passed a CHP unit going the opposite direction, and sure enough, they pulled a U-turn right as they passed us. I'm like, crap. I think I was doing 80 or something. It was probably a 55.
Oh, wow.
And, so she pulls us over, and she's asking me, do you know how fast you were going? Why I pulled you over? And then she's going back to her patrol car. My friend, it was her birthday. She goes, "Oh no, not on my birthday!" Loud enough on purpose for the officer or the CHP officer to hear. And when she comes back, she goes, "Hey, is it really your birthday?" And checks her ID, and sure enough, it was. And so
Oh,
she,
wow.
well, what do you think we should do? And she said, oh, well, he knows better. His dad's in EMS. He knows better what could happen doing this. So I think a warning would be enough. And sure enough, I got off with a warning. So another time, I was in my hometown, and it was a local cop pulled me over, and he said, "Hey, you're from around here. You should know better. So slow down." And he let me go for that too. So
Right. So I'm sorry, on the first one, you weren't doing anything wrong.
oh, I was speeding for sure, but
Oh, wow. I mean, everybody does that.
yeah, she let me go with a warning, just basically because it was my friend's birthday, as far as I know. Maybe
Yeah.
she's gonna let me go anyway, but that couldn't have hurt. So
Well, I've been pulled over twice, and I got pulled over. In fact, both times that I got pulled over were about within a year of having gotten my license back in 1990. Okay, when did I get my license? 1996, I think. Yeah, 96 is when I got my license. Yeah, and so I got pulled over. Well, actually, no. So I got pulled over once in 1996, and the second time I got pulled over was in 1997. So it was pretty close to having gotten my license. And so the first time I got pulled over, I started going the wrong way on a one-way street. But what was interesting about it is that it used to be a two-way street, and then they changed it to a one-way. So and when they changed it to a one-way, they didn't completely eliminate the yellow line separating lanes of opposite direction traffic. They didn't completely get rid of that line, so I got momentarily confused. Being used to that being a two-way,
right,
and then still seeing that yellow line. So I made that. I started going the wrong way, then I turned around. So I made a donut, a very slow speed donut, and there was an Napa County sheriff deputy who witnessed that, and then he promptly pulled me over. And real nice guy, real nice sheriff, and he said, you know why I pulled you over. They always do the
right.
why I pulled you over. And I said, yes, I do. I started going the wrong way there, and I realized my error immediately, and got going the other way. And he says, okay, well, I just want to make sure that you weren't doing donuts or something. I'm like, nope, not doing donuts. So he let me go because there was no problem. And then the second time I got pulled over, it was actually not just me that got pulled over. It was a friend of mine and me and I that got pulled over. So it was two of us that got pulled over at the same time because we were following each other back from a restaurant. And we're heading back to a friend's house. And once again, sheriff's deputy, Napa County Sheriff's deputy. This guy was a little crankier. He wasn't quite as friendly, but whatever, it is what it is.
Right.
So I guess I was following my friend too closely, and we took a corner a little fast. Nothing reckless, but just a little fast. And we pulled up to, because our friend's house was just past that corner. So we stopped behind both of us, and he wasn't too friendly. Not to start with anyway. And he was just like, license registration, you are following your friend too closely. And he was not having it. He was, whatever. I'm like, okay. And I had a really hard time finding my insurance. I guess I didn't put it in my glove box, and I couldn't find it. But I found my license and my registration, so I gave him that, and he didn't even run it. He just looked at it, and and then while he was looking at it, my friend started flipping out. I'm like, oh, this is not what we need right now. We don't need you to flip out with an already cranky cop who looks like he might give us just a warning. But my friend just starts flipping out on the cop and cursing. And I just got pulled over last week for running a stop sign and blah, 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 blah. And it was ranting at the cop. And I got out of my car and I said, stop. I was yelling at my friend at this point
Right.
in front of the cop because the cop was standing at my window. I'm like, excuse me. I said, excuse me to the cop. And I got out of my car. I'm like, let me calm my friend down. Let me get out of the car and calm him down. So I got out of my car while the cop was standing at my window. And I'm like, you calm down right now. We don't need this. Calm
Right.
down. We're going to get through this fine. Just calm the hell down. And he calmed down. My friend calmed down. And then the cop got a little nicer.
Yeah.
And he's all, just, you kids be careful. And I'm like, I understand. You're just doing your job. So I wasn't like, I was working with the cop. I was trying to ease the tensions that night. And it worked.
Actually,
I was really happy that it worked. I got the cop to calm down a little bit, and I got my friend to calm down, who was flipping out. I
you
got
could have
both.
played good cop, bad cop with the cop.
Yeah, with the cop. Bad cop, good cop with the cop. And it worked out. And he said, don't worry about the insurance. I'm sure you're telling me the truth. So he was putting his faith in me that I had insurance, and I did have insurance. I've never not had insurance. And he's like, you kids be careful and you guys have a good night. And it left on a much better note than it started. And I'm like, and then after that, I told my friend, I'm like, hey, you've got to calm down. I know you were upset about having gotten a ticket last week, but you've got to just play it cool.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I was pulled over. Back in 97.
Nice.
I know that's probably like even before some of these people were born that are listening to this live stream right now.
Right.
The last time I was pulled over was before you were born. So I'll tell you what my first car was, and I'm going to see if I can post a picture. Hang on here. I do a screen share of my first car. You guys are going to laugh at me. But I don't care.
Mine too.
Yeah, I don't care. Right. Let's see if I can find the same color and everything. All right, I'm going to find a picture of it. I want you guys to guess what you think it is, okay? Before I tell you what it is, I want you to guess based on the picture what you think it is. Hang on. I'm getting there. Let me see if I can do this without the... Hang on. I got to find the picture first. It won't do a full screen. Oh, yeah, it will. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hang on, guys. I'll do a screen share. Screen share. Vest on a computer. Well, duh. I'm on a computer. Of course it works best on a computer. Okay, hang on. Chrome tab. Oh, here we go. Okay, guys, there it is. That was my very first car. I don't think it says what it is. So what is that? I want you guys to guess what it is. How about you, Barry? What do you think that is?
Well, it does say what it is, so.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, right underneath.
Oh, I thought it wasn't showing that because I'm screen sharing what I think is a full page.
No, it's the
well.
All of the image search results, and then you got on the sidebar is the actual photo.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, I was hoping to get some guesses because I've had some people go, "Oh, do you drive a Volkswagen Rabbit?" No.
It's roughly the same shape, but
That's roughly the same shape. Yeah. Cabriolet. I've gotten some pretty funny guesses. So, yeah.
let me see if I can get mine up here.
Okay, you do yours. This is your very first car?
Very first car.
Okay. That is some pretty good cheap vodka. Oh, okay. I got to click add. Sorry. Okay.
There we go.
That Chevy Monte Carlo.
Yes, it is. SS. Don't forget, it had the 3.8-liter V6 instead of
Oh, the 3.8 instead of the
and
3.1.
dual exhaust instead of single. That's about everything that made it an SS.
Well, I did drive a vehicle that had the same line of engines. So I drove a 1992 Chevy Lumina, which had the 3.1 liter V6, and that was a standard engine on pretty much all the GM cars,
Yep.
except for the SS, of course. It was a standard engine on the Chevy Cavalier, the various Buicks of the time, of course, the Chevys as well.
Yeah.
Like Chevy Corsica, Chevy Celebrity. Really dating ourselves here, aren't we? Yeah, Pontiac, the Pontiac Grand Prix, I think, had the 3.1 liter V6. That was a fun car to drive, I have to say. Really throaty exhaust sound.
And then this is the truck.
Okay.
That's
Oh, nice. Do some serious ranching in that thing.
Yep. So yeah, that's the one I had. I was in 07, so then in 08, that's when the gas prices started going up, and I got
Yeah.
the registration bill and just realized, no, I'm gonna have to get something a little bit more more practical and fuel efficient. So that was when I started down the road of buying Hondas. So I
Yeah.
turned on to going the Honda route. So
Yeah. Hondas are really good cars. Really good cars.
we'll just
Those...
go through the whole my automotive history here. Let's see. Yeah, here we
A Yugo. Somebody thought that my cars could be a Yugo.
So that's what then replaced the truck in that was 08. So it was an 09 model.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorites. It was really fun to drive, and that blue, I got comments about it all the time of how great that color looked.
Yeah, I love that color. It was that a V6?
This was the 4. I wanted the 6, but the whole recession had happened. I lost my job.
Oh, yeah. You had to be
The job that
practical.
paid like half of what I was making, and I went in to get the V6, and they were like, looking at your numbers here, how about the 4-cylinder?" And so I was already sort of, you know, kind of brokenhearted about that. And then they're telling me, "Oh, well, we can't find the blue anywhere." And
Oh.
they had like a gray. It was like this, just nothing against a gray car. Like my car is kind of a gray now, and certain cars look really good in a, just a regular medium gray, but
Right.
on it just didn't have the same look, especially if you think you're going to get the blue. And the sales guy, he kind of felt like he might be losing the sale because that was kind of the last straw. I'm like, if I can't get the blue, then forget it. I'm just not going to do this. And we had already been at the dealership for quite a number of hours, so he was getting.
Yeah.
And so he turns to me and he goes, "Well, when you're driving the car, you can't see what color it is from the inside."
Well, yes, you can, the hood, if
Right.
you're
And
tall enough.
I'm like, and even if you can't, though, it's like, really? Really now? You're gonna tell me though the color of the car doesn't matter because you can't see it from inside? Like,
Well,
why don't they just make all cars one color, like, and just, be primer gray and with a clear coat and call it a day? Like, why would they make cars different colors? So I think he kind of realized as the words came out of his mouth that it was really
they didn't
stupid
sound,
to
yeah,
say.
they didn't sound so good.
No. But
um,
obviously they ended up finding it. I think they found it in like Tracy or something. They had to have it taken from that dealership and brought up to him. So they found it, but
so did that car still have plenty of power?
it did. Yeah, I think it had at least about 200 horses. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it's still, even being a 4-cylinder, and it was a 6-speed auto, mostly just because my wife was going to drive it, and she doesn't know how to drive stick, so we had to go with the auto. I'm trying to remember if that even came in a stick shift at that time, but either way, it was still really fun to drive. I had plenty of get up and go. I never had to worry about
Well,
any issues.
my wife knows how to do stick. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, good for you.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
Dirty joke.
the only car. Oh, I wasn't even thinking that direction.
Yeah, wife knows how to do stick. She knows how to use that stick. Sorry, guys.
I'm still in my kids being home all the time mode, so I can't be thinking.
Oh, you got that. Yeah. Well, we got to keep this is a family show, so we've got to keep it clean. Keep it clean, kids.
Yeah.
So, how come you had to get rid of that?
So I had to get rid of it because speaking of kids,
Yeah.
having a kid with a two-door coupe is not a very practical idea. So then we
right.
ended up going with, and I don't even know if I have any pictures of it, just because I wasn't super excited about it. We went from the Accord, we then got a Civic in 2015. Yeah, I don't think I have any. Which I mean, you see one Civic, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
It wasn't really anything to write home about. We did at least go with the fully loaded one because I said, well, if I've got to have a Civic and get rid of my coupe, then I'm at least going to get one with all the bells and whistles. So
Yeah.
it had everything. It was loaded and had all the cameras and the leather and stuff like that. But it still had just a really gutless engine. So that was and it had a CVT. I will never buy a car with a CVT. It's the
right.
worst.
Yeah.
Even my 4-speed and my Crown Victoria, I like better than a CVT. So
Yeah. So, what kind of mileage do you get with the Crown Vic?
How many gallons per mile do I get?
Okay, how many gallons per mile? I'll go with that.
Usually on a average day, I'd say about 15 to 16.
So, when I drove limousines, obviously it was the Lincoln Town Car, which has the same engine as the Crown Vic, same chassis, pretty much the same build. It just looks different on the outside.
Yep. Yeah,
it does. So our limos, I drove both the sedans and the stretched versions.
Yep.
And they had the readout that told you what your current mileage is, what the average was for your trip. Does the Crown Vic also give you that same information?
I believe the civilian version might, the LX, they have the digital readout on some of the older ones, but with mine being the police spec, it doesn't.
Because I was actually rather impressed with the kind of mileage I got driving the Lincoln Town Cars, given that they were, you'd think that they were gas guzzling V8s, like what are they, like a 5.8 liter V8? A 4 point what?
4.6.
4.6. Okay. So 4.6. And just the sedan version of the Lincoln Town Car, it seems like the lowest mileage I was getting was like 1920 miles to the gallon. So that's not that too far off from what you're talking about.
Are you doing a lot of freeway driving, like just straight?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, we did do mostly freeway driving.
When I did drive it for a while there, I was driving sort of off times where I wasn't in a lot of traffic. Then yeah, I'd be getting up in.
Oh, well, no, actually, no. I take that back because I did both airport runs and I also did winery tours for clients. So actually on the airport runs, I do seem to remember that we averaged about 26 miles to the gallon per trip between Napa and the airport.
Okay.
And that being SFO Oakland.
Yeah, it's got to be the stop and go that I'll be doing on 680 because that just is a mileage killer.
Yeah.
Just this last week, I finally filled up because I was down by about a quarter tank. I filled up the day that I got sent home from work, and then I hadn't needed to fill up for a month and a half. And when I filled up with that, I think I was getting around 18, just because a lot of them have been in stop and go traffic. So
yeah,
that's probably the best I've gotten is around 18, 19.
Yeah. So four bangers, Clueless Drive is SoCal saying four bangers can do good power nowadays. That's true. And I'm really looking at the next car I get. I'm kind of thinking it would be kind of nice to get a Mazda. I believe it's a Mazda 3 that has a 4-cylinder. It's like 250 horsepower or something.
Yeah, because pretty much everything's turboed now. So that for the loss in, if you don't have the displacement, it's making up for that in power.
Yeah.
It's turboed.
Be kind of nice to get something like that. And I've heard that the Mazda 3 is pretty fun to drive too.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who has a Mazda 3 and he loves it.
Yeah, that's kind of Mazda's whole thing is, they're making cars that are not crazy expensive, and they're still, everyday used cars, but they're actually fun.
Well, and also, because reliability is another thing that's important to me. So, the Mazda 3, for being a more powerful car than your average, everyday commute car, it also is that it's really reliable.
Yep.
It's a very reliable vehicle. Got to get the hatch. What, so I can fit my hay bales in there? Yeah. I mean, I still have to get hay bales occasionally for our animals, but I'm not doing the ranching job for other people anymore. So I'm not having to transport lots of hay or feed, animal feed. I'm just doing ranching for us personally now.
Yeah, and that's what's great about the Crown Victoria is cavernous trunk. Like I can
Cavernous. You can fit what 20 bodies back there.
I know someone did a study on that. I don't know how scientific it was, or
I think it was the MythBusters, wasn't it?
something like that. I know someone had tested out. Okay, how many can we fit? And it was somewhere up there. It was definitely double digits. But yeah, I've actually, now that I think of it, I could use a little spring cleaner in my trunk because there's so much space. It's tempting to just throw everything in there.
I know you got to clear out those bodies.
Yeah,
got to be smelling them by now.
Ah, well, the car's just sitting in the driveway, so.
Yeah, no one's gonna notice.
Yeah.
Buster Mobile ABQ. So he has submitted DashCam clips to us in the past. He's in Albuquerque, hence ABQ, and hence Route 66. Should be. He's all, hello, a little late here. Hello, ABQ. Good to see you joining us tonight. How are things going there in Albuquerque? I would imagine the weather is pretty dry, as it is for us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been beautiful over here. Been trying to get the kids out of the house, and can't go to the playgrounds, of course.
No, can't do that. Can't go to the jungle gym.
But we do have a trail, just like a little regional trail that goes right behind the house. So we've been heading out there. I'll get them on the trikes or
That's cool.
walk and head out there just to tire them out a little bit because they get cooped up in the house.
Yeah, I can imagine. So are you guys having to do the homeschooling thing?
They're not in school yet. My oldest actually is due to start school this next school year.
Okay.
We've been, even before all this started, we were kind of doing some like pre-K stuff for her. She didn't do preschool or anything just because I'm honestly not trying to brag or anything, but she's just crazy advanced as far as the stuff she knows. My sister's actually a teacher, and she did a little reading comprehension test with her, and she's just turned 5, and she's actually at a mid first grade level for reading. So,
oh, cool.
We were thinking about going through preschool, maybe not necessary because she's just got a lot of people that are home with her and can do that kind of stuff. We didn't have the need for taking her anywhere while we're at work. So,
okay.
But yeah, she's due to start kindergarten this coming school year, and I guess there's a bunch of talk of whether or not that's going to start early or what they're going to do. Actually, at the beginning of the year, I was trying to get her into a charter school because the school that we're set to get her into, based on where we live, is just garbage.
Oh gosh.
I've been down there. I actually went down there to enroll her because even if you want to transfer, you have to enroll the student in the school that they're supposed to go to based on your location. And it was just, I literally walked past a drunk homeless man as I walked down there. I couldn't find a place to park, so I parked my car down the street and then I walked over to it, and yeah, literally past a smashed up, wrecked, like derelict car, and then a drunk homeless man as I walked towards the school. Well,
Wow.
if I wasn't already trying to get her out of this school, I definitely am now. And so I just kind of jumped through all their hoops and got her enrolled. And then there's a charter school. I actually had to go into a lottery to get her into that. And we ended up not getting into that, but there's an actual, it's public school, but it's not run by the state. It's actually like a private entity, but they have
Yeah.
their own public charter school, and it's called Rocket Ship.
Ah.
And there's one out here in our area that I was actually able to get her into. So it was actually the day that I found out that I was basically going to be not so much laid off, but I was not going to be going into work for the near future.
Right.
And then I actually found out that she got into the school. So it was like, hey, really exciting that we're going to get into the school, but also not so much since
Yeah.
just found out I wasn't going to be working. But yeah, so we're excited about that. I'm hoping she's not going to have to go in with only 5 other students and wear a mask and be segregated from everybody. But
Right. So you said the place was called Rocket Ship?
yeah, Rocket Ship Academy that's the
Oh,
yeah.
that sounds like a very fitting name for an academy, a school in North Korea. Yeah, Rocket Ship. No, I just had a riff on that one. But yeah,
Well,
and your sister teaches reading comprehension.
well, she's an English teacher. She actually takes on the kids that are either second language learners or remedial. So if they need extra help,
Right.
she's the
I
one.
think some of our trolls could use that. Some of our critics on our dashcam videos can use some reading comprehension lessons.
Absolutely.
So yeah, sick your sister on them.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been, even before all this happened, we were trying to kind of get her used to, okay, here's a task and you need to finish that. It's not, it's mandatory. You can't just decide to go play with your dolls or anything. Instead,
Right.
sit down at your desk and be quiet and work on ABCs. She's writing out her ABCs and she's actually doing some math problems. So
Yeah.
just trying to get her used to that.
Structured. Trying to keep things structured. Yes. I gotcha. Yeah. Looks like I lost a few subscribers by doing this live stream, which I don't care. It doesn't bother me, but I just noticed that I had a dropout in subscribers because of the stream.
Interesting. They didn't have to watch it. They could just.
They didn't have to watch it exactly.
Yeah, I always wonder when I see a drop in subscribers. I'm just thinking, okay, what happened? And like, it's not like I suddenly changed the format of what I'm doing.
Well, if you happen to see, excuse me, if you happen to see a large drop in subscribers at once, it's probably not you. It's probably so YouTube every so often goes along and they cull all the defunct channels. So they go through and they delete channels that either haven't been used in an extraordinarily long time,
Right.
or channels that are otherwise defunct. And when they do that, when they do their sweeps and they clear out channels that are really no longer connected to anything,
Right.
You'll notice a huge drop in subscribers. So that's what that is.
Okay, so I'll try not to take it personally.
Yeah, don't take it personally. They're not running away from you. They ditched their own channels, and then YouTube comes along and clears them out.
Yeah, I do notice though, the more I get, especially now that I'm in the quadruple digits, the more you get, the more of the haters you start to get. I'm seeing.
Yeah, it really, and it comes in waves too.
Right. Because it seems at the beginning, I'll get the people that they legitimately they like the channel, they like the
Yes.
feel of it or the style, and then you got the other ones that are the only reason they're watching is
to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one that just for the longest time he was just hating on everything. He was
I remember.
Yeah, he'd only seen I think one video on another channel of mine, or another channel that I was sharing my videos to, just trying to get some viewers in. And there was one. It was literally, there was a guy. He came up behind me, and he was really close, and that's what kind of got my attention first. And then he changed lanes, still behind me, and as he did so, he cut someone off. Well, he cut someone off, and they honked at him, and then you see his middle finger go out the window.
Right.
I was like, wow, he just cut that guy off, and he's flipping him off. Well, this commenter, he was just adamant that I was the one that he was flipping off for some reason.
Wow.
He just had it in his head. No, you must have done something to him earlier, and he's flipping you up. Look at the angle of his wrist. No one puts their. I'm like, where else was he going to put it? doesn't look like he has a sunroof. He can't stick it out the roof. He's not going to stick it out his back window. You know, you're kind of limited when you're flipping someone off to only about
Yeah.
one place. And it was just, I told him, you know what, I actually have all the other clips because it was recent enough to where I still had the the unedited raw footage, and it hadn't gotten cleared off my dash cam yet. And I was like, you know what, I could show you that, but I decided not to just because I didn't want to fan the flames. Like, and it seemed like if I did that, it would have justified him in a way. Like, oh well, I made him look up this footage and edit it and upload it, and it just wasn't worth it to me. I knew I was right, and
Yeah.
I think anybody else watching could clearly see that. You know, he was saying like, "Oh, look at the look on his face." I'm like, "It's the look on his face. His face is about 4 pixels. What are you talking about?"
Is
Like,
he the same guy who was bothering you for a long time? And
um,
and I argued with him a little bit too.
it might be him. Yeah, I think you got in it where you were asking him like, he said, that, "Oh, that's me in the video," and you asked him, "Oh, are you the one causing the problem?" And it was like,
Uh,
yeah, I do. That was the same guy. It was like something speed, like a number speed and something else.
so do you really think he saw himself in your videos?
I think what he meant was he's done the same thing as the person,
Oh, right.
and he was just being a little like, haha, that's me. That's what I do.
I think I remember who you're talking about, and that's the same guy you're talking about. Do you remember his username?
It's some had the word speed in it somewhere.
Big surprise.
Right. And he was kind of one of those guys that said, "Oh, well, I drive aggressively or forcefully, but I'm able to do it because I'm trained, or I'm the best driver." I think he even said something like, "I'm the best driver in the world," and it was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"All right, I can't take you seriously because you're
No.
clearly trolling." So
Yeah, he's an idiot. I remember who you're talking about, and he every video you posted, he
one
posts.
speed two racer 7 was the screen name.
That's it. Yes.
Sensio 49. If anybody wants
That's it.
to pull it up. That actually
Um,
that brings me to something I was going to bring up to you, the viewers, see what you think.
yeah.
Just now that I'm pulling up one of my videos. So unlike you, I don't have running commentary, actual verbal commentary, just because I don't know, I've just never had the time to go into that level
Right.
of detail. And it's a lot easier to just type in some captions
Yeah.
or put an arrow and say, "Hey, look at this."
Yeah.
But at the same time, I totally see where that adds a lot of value to it's a little more entertaining. Maybe I wouldn't have so many people complaining about my music if I had some commentary in there. And so one of the things I was thinking was I wasn't going to go back and start doing commentary, and I'm not sure if I'm going to add commentary to my future videos, because I think I've heard something about where YouTube requires it for our kinds of videos. Like if you just have clips where you're not actually in them, that you have to have some sort of verbal commentary. Is that true, or have you heard that?
That you have to have verbal commentary?
Yeah, that you have to have like a background track of you talking over the clips in order for it to be monetized.
Oh no. You don't necessarily have to have anything for it to be monetized. It's just that certain things get demonetized, like copyrighted content can be sometimes. Um,
That might be
uh,
people that are using other people's clips, now that I think of it, like if they're a compilation channel, like
yeah, sometimes, yeah.
if you haven't seen anything about that. So yeah, I'm still wondering, just because I also don't quite know how the workflow of that is. Like, do you finish a video and then do the commentary over it as it's edited, or do you do it piece by piece?
I do it piece by piece. So I do the narration as the video's going on. I mean, as I'm building it.
Okay, so you don't like edit it together and then watch it and talk over it.
No, because the clips have to be timed just right so that
Right.
the commentary fits in.
Yeah.
So timing is the most challenging aspect of editing videos. Is
Yep.
timing everything in your clips, the sound effects, the commentary,
Oh yeah.
the incidents themselves. When you do crop zooms in
Mhm.
your
Yep.
in your footage.
That I do.
You do, yeah. Um, so it takes a lot of practice to get a good streamlined workflow going, but it did take years for me to get to what to me feels like a perfect flow for what works for my system, for my own system.
Okay. Yeah, because it already takes me. I mean, it doesn't take an incredible amount of time, especially now that I've got. I use Power Director 365 is the program I use. I'm not sure what you're using for yours, but
Yeah.
it's actually, yeah. I used to use After Effects actually before I really got into it, and it was
Ah,
useful for like panning and zooming and things like that because your videos, but every clip was like its own element, and it just got really cumbersome when you were trying to do some of the more finite editing.
right.
So now that I'm with Power Director, it's been a lot easier. There's certain things that I can't do that After Effects could do, obviously, but I've kind of made up for that with other things.
Yeah. I got something interesting I want to point out. Um, Clueless Drivers in SoCal said Bad Drivers of Brooklyn was mentioned, but their channel was deleted shortly after Napa showed their video. I've had this happen before, where I will come across a dash camera that I think is being outrageous, and I will feature the video. I'll make a mention of it or whatever, or I'll call them out. And then not long after, their channel is gone, deleted.
Hmm.
That's happened a lot of times.
Interesting.
Um, they don't, just because you have a dash cam doesn't mean that you are innocent in everything you do. And a lot of dash cammers seem to forget that. Now, I will say, that Bad Drivers of Brooklyn, just to be balanced here, is that I think he was okay, conducting himself just fine in maybe most of his videos, but there was one video he posted where he was speeding down a residential and he got cut off
Hmm.
by a driver that probably looked in their mirror, didn't see anybody coming, and pulled out. But he was going so fast and he just about smashed right into him, and it was very reckless behavior. And I don't even remember doing this, but I guess I featured his video in the community tab of my channel,
Ah.
and people got wind of it,
Hmm.
and I guess the pressure got to be too much, and he took his whole channel down.
Interesting.
But I have had that happen a lot where I call someone out for something outrageous, and they remove their channel not long after.
You didn't know your own power in the community.
I guess not, but I guess I'm a little more plugged into the community than I think I am. So, but I only call people out that I think are objectively being outrageous.
Right.
Not just, oh, I think they're being outrageous. No. I don't bother calling out the vast majority of people. It's just people, the most reckless of all are the ones that I call out. Like, okay, I wasn't going to bring him up. And actually, I'm tired of bringing his name up, honestly. I'm tired of talking about him, especially since there haven't been any updates on him recently, because the court system is shut down because of this whole, the pandemic. It's the least pressing, but I should say everything except the most pressing court issues are being curtailed right now. And I get a lot of people asking me about Spastastic TV. A lot of people, and he was one of the dash cammers that caught a lot of people's attention. I called him out. A lot of other people called him out. A lot. You wouldn't believe how many people reported him to the authorities in his area. He's stuck on the idea that I'm the one who turned him in.
Wow.
And that's actually not even true. He had a lot of people turn him in. A lot. But he targets me for some reason. I don't know why. But whatever. But you know what's going on with that.
Right.
I think I've kept you in on the loop.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's due for a trial, but his pre-trials keep getting postponed.
Little that can be said about him is probably for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what I was going to go back to what I was going to bring up and just kind of see what you thought.
Yeah.
So since I don't have that commentary on my channel, and also thinking about having some of my own live streams.
Yeah.
Well, thinking about the idea of doing a live stream where I basically sit down and I start with video 1 of my now 53. What am I at, 53 now?
Yeah.
Of my whole catalog basically, and I got a lot of time. I have nowhere to go from home, but when I'm not working from home, I'm still home. And
Yeah.
sitting down, firing up my video, doing a screen share, and just doing kind of some almost like a director's commentary, watch with me kind of experience where people could be on and you could have a chat, and I could just be giving running commentary over all my videos from number 1 to number 53. I don't know how many I'd get through in one sitting, but some of my first ones were pretty short. They were only like maybe 6-7 minutes, so that I might get through those pretty fast. But just interesting to see what if that would even be a draw, if anyone would be interested in that. Obviously wouldn't want to do something like that and be sitting here for hours if I had like 3 people watch. So
Yeah. Well, here's my first clip.
nice.
Yeah. This is from almost 10 years ago. This guy is going to cut me off trying to beat traffic. He also cuts diagonally into the oncoming lane to turn left. And then of course I laid on the horn right here because you see he cut a diagonal turn across. So stupid.
Does sound come through for that, or is it just what's on your screen?
I don't know how to share sound on here. I think when you do a screen share, it does not share sound also.
You probably have to put your mic up to a speaker or something.
Yeah, you got to do it the old-fashioned way.
Analog like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as important if I can commentary over it. So yeah, I just thought it might be something kind of interesting.
Yeah, sure. Oh, absolutely. Well, I got my inspiration for doing commentary from a day in the life of a tour bus driver.
That's right.
My guest from last week. He did that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I did that, but I put my own spin on that. I didn't want to. I decided I wasn't going to copy him directly, so I just put my own spin and did my own jokes and.
Yeah, that's probably one of the other things that I haven't quite got onto that yet, is wanting to decide what my own style would be for that. And
yeah, it's hard to. It's like, how do you want to put your own unique spin on something?
Yeah,
but
I felt like, well, I've got some of the graphics. I've got the overlay that I still haven't really seen anything like that. And yeah, I wasn't sure if that kind of a stream where it's watching all the other videos from the past as like a director's edition with director's
might be cool. I think no matter what you do, it'll be interesting to watch. I remember when I first started doing the narration, when other people on our team, because I remind everybody that I'm not the only one running this channel.
Right.
I'm not the sole person making the choices here. I have to make choices. I mean, I'm the manager. I do the editing. I'm the face of Bad Drivers Caught on DashCam. I'm Napa, my nickname. I'm the face of this operation. I'm certainly not the only driver in the videos, but I am the one that was elected to do the editing, the PR, the public relations. So I'm usually the one commenting. I'm the one doing the live streams. I think this was my idea to do the live streams, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do it then. But where was I? Oh yeah, so we made the decision to start doing the narration, and I was on board with the idea. I'm like, yes, that would be awesome. So they're like, okay, you do the narration since you have the voiceover training. So I'm like, okay, awesome. I'll put that skill to use. So I am. And it was funny. Right after I started the narrating with our clips, I noticed a few other dash cammers tried it. I did it, and then there were like three. I think there were three others that tried it that did narration too. Like right after we debuted with it, and unfortunately, they aren't doing it anymore. It was like a thing that they tried for a month or something, and then they stopped.
Yeah. Well, like you
But
said, it seemed like it's a lot of work, so maybe
it is a lot of work. Oh my gosh. You know, and then I got my wife involved with co-narrating with me, and um, but it is a lot of work because you have to come up with what you're going to say.
Yep.
Then you got to say it in front of a microphone, and then you got to sometimes do several takes, whatever sounds best, whatever run sounded the best. Then you got to fly with that. Then you got to trim it up. Then you have to process the sound because I don't present the sound exactly the way I recorded it. I run it through. I run some track filters through it to get rid of some of the lowest frequencies for one, and just tweak the sound to where it sounds best. So that takes time.
Yep.
Then you gotta sync it with your footage, and then time it with your footage to where you're not talking over maybe the parts where people should be focusing on what's happening at the moment.
Yep.
But sometimes I do. It just depends on what the clip is. But it is a lot of work. You are right. It's it's not something you throw together.
Yeah, for me, it always seemed like kind of a chicken and the egg question. Like, all right, do I edit the clip and then do the commentary, or I do the commentary and edit the clip around that? You know, do I have to slow down or freeze frame or anything?
Yeah, and you notice I do a lot of that freeze frame slowing down to make stuff fit.
Yeah.
So yes, what you want to do is you have your footage already, then you take your audio, the recording of your narration, you put it in there, then you have to kind of like work your footage around your narration. So that's what I find myself doing, is working the footage around the narration.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be a lot better than sitting there watching it and recording over it and trying to. Okay,
yeah.
over here. Oh, okay, now we've gone to the next clip.
But you are working your narration around the footage,
True.
Insofar as making it relevant to the clip and what you're saying. So
it's kind of a balance of.
It's a balance. It's a balance, and it takes practice. It really.
I'll bet.
You know this. You know, we weren't doing narration till what, 2 years ago, or I don't even know when we started. It's this. These years have become a blur. Maybe longer than that. I don't even know. I don't even know how long we've been doing it, but we've been doing it for a while now. But a fraction of the time that we've been doing DashCam videos.
Okay.
You know, we started back in 2011. Let me see. Let me go back to my oldest video. Yeah, okay. So next year will be our 10-year anniversary, and I'll have to do a special.
There you go.
I've been thinking about doing a 10-year anniversary special video for our, you know, our 10-year, using play on words there, 10-year. Yeah. So.
Are we on questions? Yeah, not.
No questions, huh? Nobody's got questions for us?
Oh, and you'd brought up tour bus driver from your last stream. Something I'd heard you guys talking about was how he said he doesn't like the dash cams that stick on with the 3M. He likes the ones with the
oh, the suctions.
And I actually am complete opposite. I can't stand the suction cup ones. I'll never buy another one with the suction.
Yeah.
For one thing, they're always falling off. Maybe
right.
It's a little more consistent in temperature, but you know, around here, it's like it is cold one day, it's hot as hell the next, so you can't really stay on top of it. And suction cups don't really like abrupt changes in temperature, and they're, you know, gonna fall off pretty easily if they lose that that pressure. And so I would always come out, and you know, my camera was on the floorboard, and you know, the suction cup didn't hold. So I'm definitely glad I've switched to the kind that with thinkware they have the 3M tape. The other reason I do that is with my overlays, I rely on the camera being in the same place every single shot.
Yes.
Overlays, because I measure out my space, and I use those markers. I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but the way I figured it out was I got a wooden dowel, and then I got it's actually a flange in the plumbing department, so it would have a little platform, and I stuck those together, and then I measured with just some tape where the very far leading edge of my bumper is, and I marked that, so there was a big blue stripe on the dowel to where my bumper is, and then I'd measure out on the ground 3 feet away, uh, 6 feet away, 9 feet. I forget the exact increments. I think it's all in threes, like 3, 6, 9, 12. And then I'd move that dowel, uh, to those markers, and then I'd save the clip for later. And so I had all those little markers, and then I'd go back into Photoshop. I'd pull up the video, and design my graphic based on where those markers were. So if the camera moves, then all of that is no longer accurate. So
Right.
if I had the suction cup kind and it falls off, then it's like, okay, well, what are the chances I'm going to get it back in the exact same position? Whereas the 3M tape, and then the swivel feature of the mount, it locks in really well. Like, you can get a screwdriver in there actually and just really wrench it down where it's not going to move. And it even has a guide on the app.
Oh, neat.
I can pull up a live view of what it's seeing, because there's no screen on the ThinkWare cameras. So
Yeah.
you pull up your live view of your app, and there's a little line that says, okay, line this up with the front of your hood, and you can center it and make sure it's lined up horizontally, vertically, and so it doesn't move at all. So that's why one of the reasons I really like the actual permanent stick-on version, because I don't want it to go anywhere. It isn't going to go anywhere for a while, and if they need to come off, then there's a Goo Gone if you really need.
Right, Goo Gone. I know that stuff. That's good stuff.
So that's where I stand, because I was listening to the stream, and he was saying he doesn't like those, but I am in the camp of the permanent mount for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up here soon, because I want to get this video out to you guys, so we get something out for your entertainment pleasure tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Well, not everybody's going to tune in. It's our East Coasterners that are going to tune in at 4 a.m., right?
Yeah.
So, so any last questions here before we take off? Got to eat dinner too. That's another one. That's an important task. How would you do narrating a documentary? I would love to narrate a documentary. Actually, that would be fun. I think I would enjoy that. I like to narrate. I just like the sound of my own voice. Right? That's my wife.
Yeah.
Because she said it before. You just like the sound of your own voice.
There you go.
Yes, I do. This is why I do this. So I can hear myself talk. I talk in my sleep because I just can't ever get a break from him. I just don't want to ever take a break. No, I'm just kidding. Burr, it's getting cold.
Especially once the sun goes down.
I've had all the windows open in the studio here, and it's just like gotten freezing. It's like clouded. Is it cloudy where you are?
It was earlier, yeah. It's not so much as I'm looking out my windows here. Not so much now. I mean, the sun's starting to set, but not too cloudy. No, it's been fairly clear today.
Yeah, we got a really thick layer of cirrus clouds that came in. I don't see any low-level clouds, but it's like this high layer of cirrus and cirrostratus that have moved in. Pretty much blocked out the sun, and sun should be setting in about 5 minutes. But yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I guess I have to close everything up now. But good. It's good. So let's see if there are any more questions here in the sidebar chat. There's a 30-second delay, so it usually takes them 30 seconds to hear what we're saying. But unless they have other things they want to say. Yeah. Are there any other topics you wanted to bring up before we head out?
That was pretty much it. Yeah, I was just curious what your take, like if you had seen that before, if I was doing something new with that whole live stream idea. 'Cause I don't know if I'd have ever seen anybody go through kind of their whole library and kind of revisit stuff and
Yeah.
curious about it.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do for our 10-year anniversary video. But I'm thinking about, moving forward here now that we have a shortage of clips.
Yeah.
You know, what to do for filler. But we've got some good ideas here. Headless Chicken is asking, do you create a script for your whole video narration or do you wing it? I don't wing it. I actually write a script. I like to plan things out. I'm very structured, I guess, that way. Some people do really good just winging things, but no, I prefer just to write a script, know what I'm going to say, and say it.
That's got to be the best way to go, because otherwise you're going to be second guessing. Oh, did I say that right, or should I have used this word or that word? And
right.
back and forth, or you're going to be sitting there trying to think of a word and taking time. So yeah, if you get it all planned out ahead of time, then
it makes it easier. Yeah.
This way.
Well, bird is a word. What is the worst driver you've ever seen in your nickname? Oh, and my nickname. I don't know what he means by "and your nickname," but what is the worst driver you've ever seen? Well, gosh, I don't know. I've seen a lot of really bad ones, and it makes it hard to say which one's the worst.
And your nickname for them, like what was your crackhead Kathy name for them?
Oh, right, and my nickname for them. Well, see, this was way before nicknames. I think the worst driver I've ever seen was actually before dash camming, but I don't remember what it was. I just remember seeing a really bad one. And what their nickname would be now? Oh, that's a good question. I'll have to revisit that question for the next live stream. What's the most unusual town in NorCal, in your opinion? I guess that question could be for both of us. The most unusual town, I'd say Guerneville is the most unusual town. It's a really small town, but it has like this extraordinarily high homeless population. It's kind of strange. It's like half the town is homeless, maybe even more than that. It's pretty bad. How about you?
I feel like I don't get around to a lot of small towns, so I'm sure there's other than where I grew up. But
yeah,
I'd probably have to say Berkeley. I mean, that's the weirdest place I've ever been. People are weird, and things you see, especially.
I'm used to it.
That's one of the weirdest. I felt very out of place, just not being that type of
right. I know what you mean.
Berkeley is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. How can I put it? I'm not myself. How can I say it? I don't even smoke pot.
Same.
I don't smoke pot. I'm not a hippie. I have been mistaken for one, but I'm not a hippie. I'm not a Rastafarian, but I do like Berkeley. I think it's a really neat place. It's an interesting place. Like it is weird, and weird to me doesn't bother me because I'm kind of used to it. I've spent some time in the city, so like my definition of weird has the threshold of what I'd consider weird has actually gone way up. So I've like the bar is set pretty high for me when it comes to what weird is. But Berkeley is weird, and I kind of like it. I kind of like that version of weird. But I'm not about to join them on the street smoking joints.
Right.
I'm not about to do that because this just isn't who I am. But I do like the melting pot of cultures. To say that's one thing I really like about our West Coast cities is that we are very diverse, and I love the diversity.
Yep.
I love having different cultures, different races, and I love that. And I kind of wish we had more of that up here in Napa, but it's kind of not. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean this is by far for all its failings that this area might have that I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the diversity is definitely one of the best parts of it because I know if my family and I were in, say, the Midwest or the South,
Yeah.
let's just say our level of diversity might cause some issues. So we're
Yeah.
definitely in the right place for who we are and the makeup of our
The
family,
the makeup, yeah. Yeah.
especially what's going on now with this virus. How certain people of certain ethnicities are being treated. Luckily, we're not
Yeah,
here.
they're not being treated very well, unfortunately. Yeah,
Oh, I
but
did just remember a couple of the other questions I was going to bring up.
oh yeah.
So, obviously we use computers for what we're doing as well as, we're driving cars and we're also using computers. So that's actually two of my biggest interests is cars and computers.
Computers, yeah.
So I have to ask, are you Mac or PC?
I am PC.
Ah, good.
I've always been PC. I don't know anything about Macs.
I have to use them at work just because I mean I'm a graphic designer and that's for some reason has always been the industry standard,
It
which
is, yeah, and for video editing too.
yeah, and I've never understood that. I would use them at school too when I was going to college, and they were always just so slow and cumbersome, and I didn't like the interface. And I'd get home, and I'd get on my PC, and it felt so much better, and my computer was always faster. Like I remember I was trying to get something done. I can't remember if it was school or work, but I was trying to get something rendered on.
Yeah.
I think it was After Effects. I was trying to render something, and it was just taking forever on the Mac. And I put all the files on my flash drive, and I said, "Forget it. I'm just going to go home and do this." I got home, put it on the PC, and it was literally just seconds. It rendered it right away, great quality, no problems. And I was just like, "Man, these Macs are just." And I run into the same problem. I'm actually remoting into my office computer from home
Oh, cool.
on this program called AnyDesk. And so I get on my computer, I click a link on this program, and then in a couple seconds, I'm looking at the screen of my work computer and using it as if I'm sitting in front of it, which is cool because I can access our server and our programs and all that. But
Nice.
it's so slow. If
Yeah.
I want to just Google something, I'll just switch over to my actual computer window and I'll search for it there, do whatever I can on my actual computer because the work one is just it's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've never been a Mac. I've never actually owned anything Apple in my life. I've never had an iPod. I've never had
Me
a
neither.
phone. Literally,
Nope.
I've never purchased anything Apple related. It's all
Yeah.
been stuff I had to use at school or at work. Um,
Sorry, Steve Jobs. Yeah.
I've just never been a fan of their whole marketing scheme of like, here you have to have this. This is what's cool now, and just the it's not so much the company itself, it's the people that are so rapidly into Apple, how they just have to have the newest thing and the whole iPhone craze. It's like I'm always had either whatever wasn't iPhone or once Android was around, I've always had Android because
Right.
um
Same here.
one because I like the products better. I've used, I've had friends or family that have had iPhones and I'm trying to help them with something and I'm just like, I can't figure this out. This is really unintuitive.
Yeah.
You can't, there's a lot of things you can't make your own. You can't change layouts or fonts or colors. It's whatever Apple gave you, that's what you got.
That's what you got.
So yeah. The other thing I really like about PC is how customizable it can be, and with an Apple, you're stuck with what you bought from the store, whereas PC, like I have, my current computer now is probably about 8 years old, which is ancient in computer land. It's
Yeah.
but I've upgraded it so many times that I think the only thing that is stock from when I purchase it is the motherboard and the processor and
Mm.
the case too. But I'm actually thinking about maybe upgrading the case. Other than that, though, it's completely upgraded with new stuff. RAM, hard drive, video card. It's all been upgraded at least once, if not more.
Yeah. Yeah. My extent of Mac use was when the computer bus used to come around to the elementary schools. Did you ever have any concept? I mean, anything like that in your school district growing up, where where a computer bus would come around and park, and you guys would all go out to the computer bus and they'd have you write a story?
No, not on a bus. We would just have the actual computer lab. That was, still quite a treat. It wasn't
So
I never
this,
had anything to use one. So
yeah, so we had computer labs in school, but the computer bus was a lab on wheels. So it was a converted bus. It was a school bus, an old Crown. Remember the old Crown buses from the 80s and 70s?
yep.
And it was converted into a computer lab. And they took out all the seats. Well, they put some seats back in so you could sit down at the computers, but they outfitted them with Macs,
Mm,
a bunch of whatever Macs were back in the mid to late 80s. I don't know what the models were back then, but yeah, we had to write a story, and the first line of the story was always written for us, and it was a dark and stormy night, and then you had to like finish the story
all right.
and write it in. But it came around to all the different schools, and I moved around schools so much as a kid because my parents moved, and there were some issues trying to get me into a school that could fit another student in. Like some of the districts had already filled up some of their schools to max, so when we moved, I had to like temporarily go to one school because the school that my parents wanted to get me into wasn't taking anybody.
Right.
So I had to like temporarily go to another school, do like half of second grade, and then move, to another school and then another one. It was just a big mess,
Right.
Because we had to move a lot. But I moved so much that I got to experience the computer bus at every school that I went to. It timed it just right.
Nice.
I could never get away from the computer bus, but I didn't mind. It was kind of fun. I should have just stayed on the computer bus
There you
and
go.
not be physically shuffled around to different schools because
Right.
of redistricting and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So
that's
yeah,
funny.
I'm figuring 8 years is getting to be old enough where I've done so much to this computer. It's
Oh,
time to upgrade completely.
I have a computer that's 13 years old and it's actually still really fast. It actually still zips through things, um, considering its age.
Oh,
And I haven't had any problems with it, so I may as well just hang on to it
yeah.
until it dies or it becomes or until the programming of websites and other applications becomes so demanding on an old computer that I can't run it.
Right.
But for now, I haven't had any problems, and I've just held on to this 13-year-old computer. I mean, I am streaming on a much newer computer. This one's
Oh,
only like 2 years old.
oh, okay.
So I do have some new technology.
Okay. Like, wow, you're doing all this video editing on that old of a computer.
No, I've actually moved my video editing to this because
Okay.
my old computer actually overheats very easily now. I think the thermal paste is deteriorating, so I've had to like move my operations, the video editing operations to this new one.
Yeah, I've been doing all my editing on this, the only one I have. I've got some laptops, but this is the only actual full-on desktop I have. And I also do some gaming, and I'm starting to notice some of the newer games are just, it's not quite cutting it. I'm not getting the frame rates that.
Yeah. On that 8-year-old computer, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait till the I don't know if it's come out already, but the flight simulator. I've used every single flight simulator since the 90s, the Microsoft line of flight simulators, and I can't wait till they come out with the one that's going to be web based, and it's supposed to replace Flight Sim X.
Yeah, that's the latest one I have. I still have X.
X, yeah. So I'm waiting for the newer one to come out, the web-based one that's going to have graphics beyond belief.
So that's one of those that's going to run. You're not actually running it on your system. It's running on a.
Correct. It's not running locally.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be interesting.
Cool.
And by the way, I did suddenly have a beer appear right in front of me. My wife walked in the door and a beer just popped in.
That's how it should be.
What about her? Oh, wow, that's funny. Yeah, she knew I was doing a live stream, and she just walked in the door, and it's like this beer just popped in front of me.
That's great.
So I guess I'll have to exercise that off tomorrow. Yeah. I'm very adamant about exercise. So, and usually traditionally what happens is I release a video on Friday morning, and then I can take a day off, a complete day off. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do video editing, nothing. And I usually go hiking. That's usually my hiking day, and I usually pick some place in the North Bay to go hiking.
Nice.
And since the governor has not closed all the state parks, then I may very well be hitting a state park tomorrow.
There you go.
Yeah, Orange County got punished because of Orange County. Orange County was being dumbasses because they all flooded the beaches during the stay-at-home orders, and they weren't following the social distancing. And so the governor came down on them and said, all right, that's it, Orange County. You guys are done.
Timeout.
Timeout. You guys are in timeout. So that's the way it goes, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing Flight Simulator for not recently, but I've had them just because my dad was always into it. He flew when he was younger in his 20s. He flew Cessnas and glider planes, so he was always into the flying even after he stopped. So.
Are you talking about simulator, or he was?
Well, he flew actual.
He was an actual pilot. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Flew gliders and Cessnas.
So I'm assuming you're roughly my age. I don't know if you could say.
Early 30s, so I'm a little younger.
Okay. You're a bit younger. Okay. Yeah. But I remember when Microsoft Flight Simulator came out back in the 90s, the early 90s. I mean, like, we're talking graphics like the horizon was just a line across the screen. And that was your graphics. So you had to like navigate to a runway in pixels.
Right.
Crazy, huh?
What's that little splotch down there? Oh, that's your
splotch. That's my runway. Or that's either a bug on the screen or a dead pixel. Oh no, that's the runway. Oh, okay.
And that's what you had, and that was good. That was like, look at the graphics on that. My games from the 90s, that will run. I can't get some of them to run on newer hardware.
Oh, Sonny, when I was your age, I flew on the simulator, and we had just the pixels on the screen, and
didn't have any anti-aliasing. What?
I'm not that old. I'm 40, so I don't feel old. I really don't. Like, I hit these hiking trails and I can do like 10, 12 miles, and I feel right as rain after a hike. I'm like, okay, let's do another one. But maybe it's just because I hike so much that I'm used to it. So it's like when I hit these trails, I thought for sure by 40 I'd be falling apart and can't do anything. But nope, I'm still going.
Wing Commander. Yeah, Wing Commander was a good one. That and
what's that? Is that a flight sim?
It was like a sci-fi fighter, like a space fighter pilot.
Another one I liked was a Combat Flight Simulator, which was also put out by Microsoft. I love that one too.
Yeah, with the old planes.
Old planes, World War II.
Yep.
Fighting the Luftwaffe.
Yep.
You could either be the Royal Air Force, or you could be, I guess the U.S. Army fighting the Luftwaffe or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. So that was a fun game. No, I grew up actually playing first shooter games in the 90s. Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh yeah.
You're fighting the Nazis. You're like deep within a camp somewhere, underground, some sort of underground camp with stone walls, and you got to fight your way out. And at the very end, you have to defeat Hitler himself.
Yeah, I remember those games where it was before Windows. I remember the one.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to play a game, you had to find the sleeve that the CD came in and type it.
Yeah.
Why isn't this working? Oh, I forgot a W. It was like,
Well, this was back like when Windows. So Wolfenstein 3D came out when it was Windows, I think 3.1 or something.
Yes.
Yeah, something like 3.1. And then of course Doom was written by the same people that developed Wolfenstein 3D. So then there was Doom, and I thoroughly enjoyed Doom, and Doom 2. And then I kind of like fell out of that because that we're talking high school for me. Then I just got busy with life, didn't play video games much except for Flight Sim once in a while. And then as I got older, I had a little bit more time on my hands again, and then I started playing some of the James Bond games, like Nightfire, Goldeneye. Really enjoyed those ones. Yeah, and then I started these businesses, and I just haven't had time to play video games at all. Because it's either like, okay, go hiking or play video games, and I've always when I've had to make a choice, it's like I'd rather go hiking.
Yeah.
So I just haven't had any extra time to play video games. So I'm way out of the loop in terms of games nowadays. Like really out of the loop to the point where people might think I'm 100-year-old fogey because I don't know my ass from the hole in the ground when it comes to games.
You're not playing Fortnite or Minecraft? Or
what's that? No, I do know what those are, but
the new one now is PUBG. That's a big popular one, which I've tried, and I end up getting shot by someone I didn't even see.
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point I can slow down in life a little bit and have the time to do that.
Yeah,
I would really like to have have time to play games.
Yeah, Headless Chicken. I'm in Star Trek Online too. I'm also a huge Star Trek fan, so that's another one of my.
Oh, you're a Trekkie like me.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I've been doing Star Trek Online.
Nice.
Just got done with that whole campaign they had with 7 of 9, and where you go into all these different scenarios that have happened in previous episodes and movies and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I've always been big on Star Trek games. There's one about, what was it, 2002. It was called Bridge Commander, and I still have it. It's still I'm able to run on newer systems, and I got really into doing a lot of the modding, different things for it.
Oh, that reminds me. I did get into an interactive game. It was Star Trek, except you played the part of a Klingon. I was very much into Klingon culture when I was a teenager. Very much into it. So much I bought the whole mask and I bought the whole persona.
Oh, there's
it was awesome. It was so awesome.
Use that as your face reveal.
I was nerding out. Oh yeah, I could use that for my face reveals. I can dig out my old Klingon mask, and go Kaplach. Yeah, I even studied the language a little bit. I never became fluent at all, but yeah, the Klingon Academy. Oh yes. So yeah, it was an old game. What was I going to say about that game though? Can't remember now.
Yeah, it was Starfleet Academy came out, and then they did Klingon Academy after that as kind of a successor to that, which I never.
Oh,
but I think it was actually better than. When it was better than Starfleet Academy.
Given that Klingons are warriors, they have some really awesome weapons, and having a martial arts background, I'm familiar with a lot of the weapons used in ninjutsu.
Okay.
Kung fu, karate, and so naturally the weapons seen, in Star Trek that the Klingons use piqued my interest.
Yeah, they're that little 3-bladed weapon. I can't remember
the batlech.
The batleth was the big sword, but they also had the dagger with the little blades that would pop.
Oh, that's the other one. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah,
like tech or something like that. But that's actually always reminded me of the sais that we would use in karate, because I have a background in karate as well. So
the batlech, or however you pronounce it, I don't know. It's been years, so forgive me if I'm rusty on my Klingon. Okay. Yeah, batlech. But it's very similar to a weapon used. Let me see. I think in ancient Chinese culture, in ancient Chinese martial arts. I think I could be confusing that with a weapon used by ninjas.
Okay.
But they look almost the same. They're very similar. It has a dual grip, and it's got two parallel curving blades.
Yep.
Such an awesome looking thing. I wonder if it's legal here in the state of California.
Probably
I
not.
should start a collection of these. My wife was talking about how cool it is because California has some of the most restrictive laws on weapons,
Oh yeah.
and we can't. It's illegal to own a shuriken here. Another word for a ninja star.
Yep.
For anybody not familiar, they sell them in Chinatown. They
Hmm.
actually do sell them in Chinatown. I don't know how they get away with it, but they do. But yeah, so I was kind of hoping to start a throwing star collection, but that's not going to happen
No.
unless I can make replicas perhaps out of other materials. As long as it's not metal, from what I understand, a fake shuriken is legal as long as it's not made out of metal,
Okay.
according to the penal codes that I looked up. So it'd be kind of cool. The next best thing would be to have plastic ones, but finish them to where they look like they're metal, like they're stainless steel,
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah. Use some metallic paint.
Yeah. I am thinking about starting a collection of replicas that are perfectly legal, so I'm not breaking the law, and made out of materials that are not metal, because they're mostly to look at,
Right.
to have a collection to look at. And I've always been fascinated by throwing stars and their different shapes. They're like snowflakes. I don't know two ones necessarily look the same. So I've always been into Asian weaponry and Asian martial arts. So you say you have a background in karate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
From about age 8 to just about my early 20s, I was training in Weichi-Ryu.
Uh-huh.
Basically the style that Mr. Miyagi teaches Daniel-san in The Karate Kid.
Okay.
A lot of the moves are the same. My sensei actually met Pat
Pat Morita.
Matt Puri. Yeah, he met him, and I think there was something in Okinawa that he went to, and he ended up meeting him there. And so yeah, a lot of the moves that he teaches him they're legit. It wasn't something they just made up for Hollywood. So
Right.
so yeah, I did that for about a little over 10 years. Made it to second degree black belt.
Awesome.
And then my sensei, he retired and he gave the dojo to somebody else and they ran it into the ground. So
Yeah,
it disappeared.
I studied karate, kenpo karate, but also mixed martial arts as far as karate and kung fu, mixed as one style, but had elements of both kung fu and karate.
Interesting.
Yeah, that school I don't think is any longer. No, it might be. I don't know. Westwind. They had a school in Napa, Vallejo, Fairfield, and Alameda.
Okay.
Those were their main dojos. So they yeah, so we did that. That was mixed, a style called Bok Fu, which is karate and kung fu combined. So I studied that for years.
Interesting.
um
I
yeah,
don't think I'd
I
ever heard of a blending of the two before. I would run into because we did a lot of demonstrations, like public, like at the fair, or
mhm.
we'd go to a mall that had like a little communal area, and we'd do some demos. And sometimes we'd come across, especially at the fairs, we'd come across like a rival school or something. And there was one that we'd always come across, and they billed themselves. I forget what the name of the school was, but they billed it as American Karate.
Mhm. Hmm.
And I always found that a little bit of an oxymoron. Like,
Yeah.
be American Karate. Like, I'm all about buying American and having pride and national pride and everything, but American Karate, it just always got me too. That I went to school with some of these kids. Like, we would see each other and we're like, oh hey, you go to that one school, and they'd be like, yeah, we're better than you, and you guys suck, and you don't do this, you don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I think
Yeah.
you're missing the point of martial arts, but
Yeah.
your first thought was to talk crap and say you're better than me, and like, I think you're missing the point, because
Yeah.
Weichi-Ryu is all about defending yourself first.
Right.
open hand, half hard, half soft. That whole mentality of, I'm gonna try to defend myself first, and then if I have to, then I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah, that's how we were taught. We were taught
Yeah.
discipline. They were very
Yep.
strict, actually, in our teachings. We weren't just taught fighting. We were taught mind and body.
Exactly.
That's a big part, actually, of well, especially kung fu,
Hmm.
is mind and body. Like that's at least half of the discipline.
Yep.
Um, and it varies by teaching, of course. But Bruce Lee, was big on the philosophy of mind and body. You can't have the body without the mind without the body.
Hmm.
You have to have two functioning systems to work together as one. And so anyway, so we did a lot of tournaments. I remember participating in a lot of tournaments. I remember one time they brought out a real live tiger because the tiger was part of the logo for Westwind Karate Schools. I think it was a white tiger was part of the logo, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't one of Joe Exotic's tigers,
Yeah, one of Joe Exotic's
or
tigers.
was it Carol Bass?
so, or Carol, whatever her name is. But they brought out a full size tiger in the middle of the floor, right amongst us, where we were, where we were competing. It's like, wow, this is really cool. Yeah, so we did tournaments, and I remember every time our master would come around, we would all like get so nervous and scared because we had a master that would come around, and he was like the old school. He had the Fu Manchu.
Yep.
That's straight out of the movies, straight up kung fu, straight up out of the kung fu movies. He had the Fu Manchu. He was an elder Chinese man, and he oversaw the schools. I don't know. I mean, he's long dead by now. He was really old at the time, and he would come around to observe our class, and we'd all be like, "We got to be on our best here. We've got to do our best for Master Lee." His name was Master Lee. I'll never forget that. Never forget that. Those were the days. The good old 80s.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the master, because I had my sensei. He was American. He was actually a Marine, and he served in Okinawa, and that's where
Yeah.
he found out about the style. And then he came back, and he decided to open a dojo. And then quite often he would have his sensei come, and he was from Okinawa, and he would come and sometimes preside over the testing. So I think there was at least a couple of my black belt tests where he was actually there. Yeah, that was pretty daunting to know, the one of the highest levels in the entire style is standing there or sitting there watching you and judging you in your test.
Yeah.
Actually, a video, if you look it up, um, it's through the Discovery Channel, and there's a video of, who Idris Elba is, the actor.
I don't.
I'm trying to think of the last thing he was.
I might recognize him if I saw his face.
Well, here, what I'll do is
I'm not always good with names, though.
let's see. He was in one of the last Fast and the Furious movies. He was in the Thor movies. Trying to think of what else he's been in. You know what? I will just do a screen share,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see. Let's see.
Ah.
Is that the video? I'm trying to think of what we're seeing here.
I see Discovery Channel.
Okay, so this is the video.
Is that him?
That's him. And then on the left there, that's my sensei. And he's
Oh, neat.
this big Hollywood star and kicking his ass.
Yeah.
I was like, I've now seen the one of the main guys in my style beat the crap out of Idris Elba. So that was pretty cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, I grew up watching a lot of Kung Fu. I was introduced to Asian culture very, very early in my life. and I'm glad for that. I'm absolutely fascinated by Asian culture, both Chinese and Japanese culture. Um, I'd like to someday visit Japan and China. I don't know much about the other Asian cultures, like say Korea, Vietnam, and some of the other Southeast Asian cultures, but I think it would be really neat to visit those places also.
I
But
will likely be at some point in my life going to either Vietnam or Laos.
yeah.
My wife is both.
Oh, yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah. Um, but on my bucket list would of course be Tokyo.
Yeah,
But also some of the rural parts of Japan I would really like to see. We actually had a couple of exchange students from Japan who lived with us when I was a kid, and they stayed with us for 9 months, for the entire 9 month term of the school year, because they were synced up with what the school years were. But also on my bucket list would be Hong Kong. I would love to visit Hong Kong and some of the more rural villages of China.
yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. Do some hiking out there, see the Great Wall, and be awesome. So someday before I die,
Yep, yeah, got the bucket list going.
got the
Yeah,
bucket list
sure
going.
we'll end up probably most likely Vietnam, but I mean they're so close, we could end up doing both.
Yeah,
And going there mostly because you definitely want to make sure that our kids see all that and see what their background is.
yeah,
My wife's been there numerous times since she's first generation born in America. Her mom actually fled the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War to get to the
yeah,
States. Her story is incredible. Like I keep telling her, I need to take notes and like ghostwrite a story for her because it's just pretty intense.
yeah,
Some of the stuff they had to do to get away from the Viet Cong, like hiding in tents while they were going around looking for women to abduct, or
yeah,
looking for the men. They'd sometimes have to hide them because they were looking for men to bring into their army, or just crazy stuff like that, like trying to jump onto boats so that she could escape, things like that. Pretty crazy.
yeah. A lot of history there, and yes, Hong Kong is located in a tropical climate, so it is definitely humid.
Same with
Um,
Vietnam, very very hot.
I think I can deal with humid. I think if I can deal with Florida's humidity, I can deal with pretty much anything, because Florida has, among many other places in the world, some of the highest humidity. Well, no, there are probably more humid places than Florida, but I think I think if I was able to handle Florida, I could probably handle Hong Kong's humidity. But
Yeah,
I there's so many different places in Asia I'd like to visit. It'd be really neat to also visit Asia in the winter when it's snowing.
right.
Some of the more inland places too.
Hmm.
Hiking the mountains, and oh gosh, I mean, there's just so much. The cherry blossoms. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no shortage. I love visiting. In San Francisco, we have the Japanese tea gardens, and maybe I'll do a video. Maybe I'll do a special video on that, because I love videography and I could get really crazy with that.
Yeah.
But I've been to the Japanese tea gardens in San Francisco many, many times, and it never gets old. I love it there because,
Nice.
again, I love Asian culture so much that I'm almost obsessed with it. And as soon as this stay-at-home shelter order is lifted, I'm going back. I have a new camera and everything, and would love to do a video. What? Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah.
Or are
So,
you into the food? Are you?
have you ever been there? Have you ever been to the Japanese tea garden in Japan? I mean, in San Francisco.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And they have a botanical garden right next door, which is also really cool to visit.
Are
A
you big into
conservatory.
food? Are you I don't know, sushi or?
I'm very much into Asian food. Now I have to be careful because I am allergic to
All right.
shellfish.
Yes.
And that's tricky when you love Asian food.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sushi, so sashimi with a raw salmon. I love that. I can't get enough of that actually.
Yeah, we
Uh,
finally had to just break down. We were, buying food at Costco and making our own meals for probably all of March. I think was or even into the middle of April, and then we finally broke down and we're like, okay, we got to get something,
Yeah.
fried chicken or something from outside the house.
I
Just
like I
groceries.
like I like various Japanese dishes. I also love Chinese food. I'd say it's I don't know. It's hard to place one above the other, but my favorite ethnic foods would have to be Japanese and Chinese, and I can't really place one above the other. I love both equally, and I never get tired of it. In fact, I love Asian food so much that I cook it myself.
Nice.
So
Have you ever had anything Vietnamese?
that I would like to try. I have not. I'm like I say, I'm mostly familiar with Japanese and Chinese, but I would love to expand and explore Vietnamese food. There was, I don't know if there still is, but there was a Vietnamese restaurant in Napa. You know, if they survive this shelter at
Yeah,
home order thing, I'd like to try them. But I'd also like to try Korean food also.
yeah, yeah. I know a lot of them aren't open. Like we've been wanting to get some. Luckily, my in-laws they make it themselves, but pho
Uh
is
huh. I've heard of that. Uh huh.
that's the best. I know a lot of people say pho. Sometimes we'll say that anyway, but it is technically
Right.
pho. And yeah, so they were actually able to make their own, which was nice because a lot of the places that we usually go to, they just aren't even open for takeout or delivery. They're just totally closed. So once everything's back open, yeah, definitely hit up a place that has some pho and try that out.
Yeah.
You got to do the hoisin sauce and you got to do the sriracha. I know
Oh,
there's some purists that say, oh, don't put any sauce in it, but you got to put the sauce in it.
speaking of Asian food and culture, I forgot I was going to mention this. It's really cool. I have no Asian heritage at all myself. um, my dad, when I was growing up, everywhere we lived, he always built a Japanese tea garden in the backyard. Very elaborate too. He always had the koi pond, the lily pads, and he had plants and Japanese maples, everything just to the T, like what you would find in a Japanese tea gardens with the pagodas, like concrete pagodas. Really cool.
Yeah.
So, having grown up with that, I do plan on building a Japanese tea garden myself at some point. It's always been a dream,
Cool.
you know, get really elaborate with it.
Yeah.
So, I've got lots of ideas for what I want to do for a Japanese tea garden. And I get a lot of inspiration too every time I go to the Japanese tea garden in San Francisco.
Nice.
But yeah, I can't say enough how cool that place is in San Francisco.
I'll have to check that out once allowed to.
And then to check it out for real in Japan would
Yeah.
be my ultimate goal. Yeah. So, well, I should probably wrap this up, guys. I got to get something to eat, and if you guys want a video tomorrow, I'm gonna have to get back to work, huh?
Yeah, I could probably get started on my next one too. I've got some time, so
Yeah.
was trying to get one out like every 2 weeks, and that just sometimes I get burned out, and other times I just didn't have the time. But I'm trying to get better on that, especially with having lots of time at home. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely think about doing that live stream probably sooner rather than later. I might. I don't know how much lead time you usually give a stream to try to get it a lot.
It depends. I mean, I get so busy that I forget to do a lot of lead time, and sometimes I do it last minute, like okay, I'll do a live stream Thursday.
Right.
So yeah, it just kind of depends on
Yeah.
on that. But
Figure the people that really want to watch, they're gonna watch, or they're gonna watch it later when it's not live. I think that's kind of the cool thing about it is even if they don't catch it, like I
they
don't
can.
always catch yours when they're happening. But if I do something that I like, if I'm one of the big things I use your live streams for is when I'm washing dishes. I like it when I'm watching something, and because then
Yeah.
it says, "Oh, the dishes don't get clean." So with the live
Right.
stream, I don't have to look at the screen. I can just put my headphones in and listen,
Right.
and it's great for that. So I figure
Absolutely.
that's something that if people don't watch it live, they can still watch it later on.
Yeah.
There's also, speaking of live streams that you can watch, for Star Trek fans, I don't know if you saw it, but last night IGN had Jonathan Frakes on
Ah,
to basically what you would do is you would put Star Trek First Contact on your TV or your computer, and you would sync it up with them, and then he would do like a running commentary over it as you watch the movie. So it's like a live director's commentary. So I
yeah.
haven't had a chance to. I didn't have a chance to get on while it was live, but it's still up on YouTube. So I'm gonna maybe do that a little bit later when I can get used to the TV.
There
So
you go.
that kind of gave me the idea of, hey, I could do kind of the same thing with my videos. I could go on and people could watch them with me, and we could do commentary as we go. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so check out his channel, guys. Bad Drivers of the Bay Area. The link is in the description to his channel.
yeah,
Check
I'm
him out.
good on
Yeah.
subscribers, but I gotta get those viewing hours up before I be monetized.
Yeah, I think it's 4,000 hours or something like that.
And I'm at like
Yeah.
around 3,000, so I'm coming down.
You'll get there. You'll get there. Yeah. Do a live stream. That'll bump up your hours too.
Yeah.
Live streams are good for that.
Yes,
For sure. For bumping up those hours because they run so long. So anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, folks. So thank y'all for joining me. Stay safe out there.
Yep.
I have faith that we will get through this. This too
Oh,
shall pass.
Yep.
It's hard right now. I know it's hard for me too. I've been really lonely. It's been hard not being able to socialize with people, and it's hard because I'm a social person. I love to socialize with my friends and get together
Yep.
and hang out and go to bars but can't do that. So at least not now.
The hardest thing that we've had to do with my parents, they used to see my kids every weekend. Like literally, we would go have dinner every Sunday, and they would see them every weekend. Well, with this going on, we couldn't do that, and we were going out. My parents were going out still, at least to just get food, and so nobody had been quarantined for the full 2 weeks, like they say you're supposed to, and but they just really wanted to see him, so we said, well, fine, we'll drive out there, but we'll stay in the car. And so the girls are in the car, and my parents were outside, and the kids are like, all right, get us out of our car seats, and we're telling them, no, we got to stay in the car. And just especially my oldest, she's old enough to know that she usually should be able to get out of the car, and the fact that she couldn't was just, it was rough. There were tears, and her
Yeah.
and everybody else, it was rough to see that realization that she wasn't going to be able to go give grandma a hug, or go hang out.
Yeah.
She was going to have to stay in the car. And that's if I remember anything from all of this, just that whole experience is definitely going to stick with me. But
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is not like anything we've ever experienced, and it's hard. It's really hard. I know. I know. But I think we'll get back to it here. There are some well, last I checked, there was a treatment, an antiviral that looks promising. So let's hope that will take hold and we can get a vaccine out and we can, start getting back to normal, get the economy back on track, and get
yeah,
slowly get back to where we were. And
I
let's
feel
hope
like
we can do that.
testing too is the main thing we need to get out there. I think that would solve a lot of
Testing, yeah.
issues if we could just have a
Well,
test where everybody, if you don't have it, then you know you don't have it. And you can,
well, and I think antibody tests are very important too because it tells you if you've already had it and maybe are safe to get back out there. And my wife and I are looking into getting antibody tests ourselves because, as you may have heard me talk back in February, we were both sick with something that, in retrospect, looks like COVID-19
I
because
was too. I was very sick most of January and into February.
yeah, and I've never been sick the way I was. Just I've never really had a cold or flu like that. And we, two of the people that got sick with the same thing we got sick with actually were hospitalized and had fluid in their lungs,
Mm.
and they tested negative for influenza. So you put those pieces together, and it looks an awful lot like we had COVID-19 because we were also exposed to a lot of foreign tourists for those 2 months. January, February, lots and lots of foreign tourists, a lot of them. So it actually would surprise me if we didn't have COVID-19. So
Right.
we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out if we did. I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
So anyway, so video number 314 coming out tomorrow. You guys check that out. And then we got a kind of a fun video coming out sometime next week with the drama at the bar. You guys will see what that's about. So stay tuned for that too.
Yeah.
And I promise you, we're, even though we may have a shortage of dashcam clips for now, don't worry, we're still going to be uploading stuff. So stay tuned for that. And y'all have a good night.
All right. You too.